choice of play. Yes, when they're one of the lesser sides, when it's like Arsenal were doing it to Bolton because you saw Arsene Wenger bristling, and we all used to laugh going, you can't take it up here. Right?
But you quite liked what Ursula said at the end of that game last night, didn't you?
No, not really. I have a point.
TalkSport Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Hugo Chambray. Relegation alarm bells are ringing for Spurs. That's according to club legend Clive Allen. 1 point clear of the bottom three with 9 games left. Their former defender Ramon Vega says the situation is serious.
This is not about nice football anymore now. This is surviving now. And these players really have to put the mentality into it. Guys, this is not about anymore if you're good or bad anymore. This is about you getting these 3 points across the line to make sure you're actually going to play Premier League.
It's now 3 defeats from 3 for Igor Tudor. They go to Atletico Madrid on Tuesday night in the Champions League. Of course, that's live on TalkSport. Elsewhere, Prem Rugby have agreed to significantly reduce full contact training to try to mitigate injuries and concussions. The RPA, the union which represents players, has secured a deal which will include a staggered return to contact training for international players and mandatory head injury sensing mouthguards for practice sessions. England World Cup winner Steve Thompson has been calling for the changes after being diagnosed with early onset dementia. The new guidelines will come into force next season. And speaking of rugby, England head to Italy tomorrow off the back of 2 Six Nations defeats in a row. They've made 12 changes to the team. Caden Murley is one player who's coming into the side on the wing. He's been speaking to TalkSport.
There have been some tough conversations, but we're excited to a bit of a new group as well. So there's that. Going out there, we just want to show what we can do now. So yeah, we're excited for that.
And Russian soldiers who have been injured in the war with Ukraine will be allowed to compete at future Paralympic Games. That's according to International Paralympic Committee President Andrew Parsons. An investigation by Polish-based news outlet Votak found Russia is fast-tracking injured soldiers into parasport. The Winter Paralympic opening ceremony takes place later tonight. It's the first Games where Russian athletes have been allowed to represent their country since 2014. There's more at TalkSport.com.
TalkSport News.
4 men have been arrested on suspicion of spying for Iran on London's Jewish community, and there are fears our energy bills will go up due to the conflict in the Middle East. There's more from the news team in half an hour.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy" this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Scotland and Northern Ireland looking largely dry with plenty of sunshine. Meanwhile, England and Wales will be rather cloudy with some rain, generally cooler for most of us.
Welcome one and welcome all to the third day this week of me, Danny Kelly, and him, Charlie Baker.
Hello, Danny.
Baker. Hello, Charlie. Sitting in for Paul Hawksby, Andy Jacobs and Max, of course we are. A lot to get through during the next 3 hours. Absolutely no mention, I imagine, of last night's football. Instead, we will focus on the upcoming rugby, on the FA Cup ties that you can hear live here on TalkSport.
Oh, Danny.
And much else besides. And of course, the controversy as well about Russian and Belarusian athletes being allowed to take part in the upcoming Paralympics, Winter Paralympics in Italy. We should have some fun, of course, with the Fools panel, and clips of the week this week is a Cheltenham special.
Yeah.
And given that I rarely work on the Cheltenham thing, I hope for once I won't be included in clips of the week. But listen, everybody, welcome one, welcome all. I'm hoping to have a difficult, because of the team I happen to support, but nevertheless entertaining 3 hours. Charlie will make sure of the latter for you. You're very welcome along to Kelly and Baker on the mighty, mighty TalkSport. So, one thing we know for certain now, why Paul took this week off.
What, the North London derby and then Palace on a Thursday?
Yeah, I think he's quite smart, isn't he? And he has left me. I was going to say holding the baby, but it's not that. You know those cartoons where bombs are always represented by a large black sphere with a fizzing bit at the top. Yeah. I'm left holding that bomb now, aren't I?
Danny, I know you've got a lot to say. I just want to say before it starts, I watched that last night and I thought it was sad. I thought it was sad for all those fans. That's what genuinely thought it was sad. And I want to say that this show today is a safe space for Spurs fans. Over to you.
I don't think the listeners will like to hear that. Oh, look. First of all, let me just say, let me just say that first of all, it was a kind of predictable defeat. The team is on its knees, and their home form over the past 2 seasons. I think they've won 4 games in recent memory. 2 this season and a couple last season. After that initial burst under Postecoglou, their home form has dropped off a cliff, and that is one of parts of a. If you were making, Charlie, if we were on a cookery show and you were saying to me, go to the store cupboard, Danny, and make me a recipe for relegation, I'd say people at the top of the club who have no real connection with football and whose main thought is can they improve the valuation of the property. Then below that, people making terrible decisions. I'll put in the back of the cupboard there, just past the 5 spice, you'll see people making terrible recruitment decisions. And then you get on to players who, Spurs found themselves, Charlie, among a million things I could say about this, in a really odd position of players who presumably don't want to be relegated, but oddly for a relegated club, know that they will be going, if that does happen, to huge clubs.
Yeah.
The Spurs back 4 is currently wanted by, I'm going to get this right, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and AC Milan, respectively, when they're all fit. They're not going to
in a relegation threatened side.
They're not going to fall into the They're not going to fall into the Championship and say, "I'll have to stick it out here now and see if we can beat Wickham away, then we've got a good chance of making the top 8, which is what you've got to do for the playoffs." So there's a million different problems, and you're right. And I'm happy for people to come on and give me a stick in social media or here on the programme itself about my life choice regarding Spurs. But truthfully, just done, a long version of the View from the Lane podcast where a mixture of young Spurs fans, old Spurs fans like myself, and people who are only observers of the Spurs scene, we've come away with the same 2 emotions again and again and again. A slight sadness about watching some of those people in the stadium, who I'll get onto in a second, but also a furious and righteous anger about an ownership group. And don't forget, when they sack Daniel Levy, all that's doing is changing the badge on the front of the car.
But it's not a shock, is it, Danny? You say it's not a shock. You've been circling the drain for a couple of seasons, and the investment's not been good. The players you've signed have not been good. I thought Brennan Johnson coming on last night, I was like, how has this happened to Spurs?
No club in the history of world football, unless somebody can put me right, has ever in 3 successive seasons sold their leading goal scorer from the previous season. But Kane, Son and Johnson, who were the leading goal scorers for 3 successive seasons, have all been sold in the following season.
Yeah.
It may make sense on a spreadsheet, on some kind of business model you've got laid out in front of you in a drama. But in real life, on a football pitch, it makes no sense at all. And look, I'm not looking for any sympathy here. Spurs are the 9th richest club in the world, if you measure that by sheer revenue. They're also a huge cultural force. They're massively well supported. Forget about the stadium and all the rest of it. But they have been appallingly run for years and years and years now. To the point where they do feel as they need to rebadge it. Now, the players got to take some responsibility as well. Dominic Solanke coming out after the game and saying, we've had a big conversation about it. What, now, Dominic?
Yeah.
Has it just occurred to you that you're in real trouble?
Crept up on them a bit, yeah.
Here's the problem. Their remaining away games are all very difficult, and it doesn't matter who they play at home because the opposition now smells the reek of putrefaction, the smell of death around that club.
Whoever's decision it was to put all the injured players and the banned players sat like naughty boys in the back of the coach in their sort of hoodies and their own clothes for a bit. The visuals of that was so bad from a momentum point of view and from a vibe point of view. That it was so bad.
I mean, yes, they should be all in the private boxes watching from a distance for two reasons. One, as you say, for exterior PR, it just looks terrible. But also for the players on the pitch, there's your excuse.
Yeah.
All our best teammates are unavailable for
and
one reason or another.
Mickey van der Ven joins them for the next game. You know,
he couldn't wait to get over there to the naughty step, could he?
Pedro Porro was trying to get sent off every 2 minutes. You know,
you get a chance to wear your £400 hoodie in public. It's a brilliant thing, isn't it? Look, I'm happy. As I say, I'm happy to face into Spurs fans here because, as you say, it's a safe zone. We'll talk about. It was fun radio comedy what happened last night on the sports bar, but I'm going to finish this by saying, Charlie, you can give out the numbers then.
Yeah,
I'll finish by saying, yes, banter is a big thing in football. Yes, I'm big and ugly enough to take on whatever you want to come on and say about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but there were part of me when the television director was going from one distraught-looking Spurs fan to another at the end of the game, and there weren't that many left in the stadium, part of me did think this. You don't know what's going on in these people's lives. You don't know how important Spurs is to them. You don't know whether it's all they've got. Now, that's a mad place to get you into, but we know what football fans are like, and you don't know what's going on in their day-to-day lives. And so, while I'm angry and furious about it, other people may be absolutely distraught for a number of reasons that we don't know. And I hate to be, the sort of banter police here because people can say what they like. Obviously, it's a free country. But I did feel desperately sorry for some of those people because I could see in their eyes that this was the most important thing in their lives. And it's falling apart, crumbling to dust in their hands. And they have no power over it whatsoever. And there, my friends, lies the tragedy of football fans. You have absolute commitment to something, no power over it. But you have to deal with the consequences when those with power muck it up, as they so spectacularly have at Tottenham Hotspur.
81089 03717 223344. I did just think we do one thing, Danny. My little bit of advice for you for next season, if it does go, is
how to get to Wickham.
No, get to Wickham early because the car park in there is honestly a nightmare. I've been there 5 or 6 times. You can't park. There's a car park.
Charlie,
there's a car park up at the bottom of the hill, and there's one at the top of the hill. Get there early for the one at the top of the hill. You don't want to be in that bottom one. I thought people might have other bits of advice for you in the Championship along those lines. Nice advice, positive advice in the Championship.
Charlie, I don't know what happens in the Championship. Can you still bowl up on the day and buy a ticket, or do you have to buy tickets in advance?
Wickham are League One pushing for.
They are. They could get in the playoffs.
And Lincoln is the other one. Lincoln Cathedral's lovely, Danny. That'll be a lovely day out. I'd get there early, trip round Lincoln Cathedral, and then go to the football. That'll be
my old friend John Inverdale used to be the football reporter on the Lincoln local paper, so I'll get some insider advice from him.
Maybe our listeners will have inside information of things to do in places in the Championship. 81089 for those. 03717 223344 for Spurs fans who'd like some counsel.
And Charlie, let me just tell you, of course, I don't know how the Championship tickets are organised these days, but I'm old enough to remember when Spurs went down last time. Yes, I am. And I can remember Spurs taking 8, 10, 12,000 fans to away matches throughout that season.
They would this time round.
And they were outnumbering the home
clubs rubbing their hands, Danny. They'll love it.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, so every game will be a home game for Spurs, but that's not the great advantage I want it to be.
Yeah, not this season.
Give us a ring. We'll talk to former Spurs midfielder Gus Poyet next. It's the big story. You can come on, run at my chest if you want. I don't care. We'll talk about Spurs next and throughout the show. But as well as that, we'll bring you all the latest from Cheltenham, all the latest from the rugby, and much else besides. And looking forward to an FA Cup weekend here on TalkSport.
So it makes it more interesting, I think, Simon, for fans of other clubs. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If it was all to finish today and this was in operation now,
you'd go way down to 17th with Norwich in the league with a chance to get into the 8th spot. That's what you do.
Right.
You take 60. You take
it opens up. Yeah.
You take 66% of the league as it sits now. 18 clubs in this league could have a reasonable shout to make a claim for getting 8th spot, because there's 11 games to go in the conventional season. There's 6 points between Derby in 8th and Norwich in 17th.
Right.
And those games, and when you get running at the business end of the season, it really does change the dynamics of how people play. All of a sudden, you've got 66% of the league having something involved. Then you've got the other 25%, or 35%, sorry, sort of going to the Gabby Bongle arithmetic school, the other 34%, which would be fighting for not staying in the division. So you've got constant jeopardy in a league, which actually reminded me when I was over in America looking at the MLS and how they construct their leagues and how many teams get an opportunity to play in their playoffs and participate in outcomes for themselves. They have something like 60 or 70% of the teams in a league any given season that could feature in a playoff scenario.
Right.
So it's all
Does
about...
that affect the quality? There's a message coming through there. You're telling me that 8th could end up going to the Premier League. Surely, that
They're going to have to
good in terms of the quality of the club that's going to go
up.
Well,
there's nip and tuck.
Yeah, the big story today is still from last night when Spurs were beaten 3-1 home by Crystal Palace and the threat of relegation. The headline here says Spurs relegation fears deep, and I don't think there could be any deeper for those who have been watching them this season. I think they've been sleepwalking into it since the Arsenal game in November. I think they've been sleepwalking while not recognising the reality. Now, listen. There are other ways of dealing with this. Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy were back on the sports bar last night reacting to Spurs' whacking by the Palace. Here's a snippet of what went down.
Has anyone seen Spurs? To dare is to do! Hello, meeting.
All right. The manager's got to go. Get rid of him. He's lost 3 games on the bounce. To get a new manager bounce, we get a worse bounce. This club is a joke. Everything about the football club is an absolute disgrace. We're a mockery.
Are you going down? You going down?
Jace, shut up. Don't ask me again. I'm trying to have a say, and you're going to sit there and just try and mug me off for 2 hours. I'm not going to have it.
Big Ange.
I'd take Big Ange. I would. I'd actually take Big Ange. I reckon Harry Redknapp should get a phone call tonight.
Let me just attack O'Hara.
Don't attack me. What are you talking about? I'm sick of you coming on here thinking you can attack me.
You've been backing them by not talking
Backing who? Who have I backed?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to?
You got people at you digging away. It's been there 10 minutes. He's had 3 games. Give him time on the training ground.
How do you know he's good enough?
I've seen signs.
What? What signs have you seen?
I've seen signs.
What signs?
Encouraging signs.
It's just pointless doing a show with you, mate. It's just pointless.
It's all right. Having a proper eagle.
You're just not being serious. You're just an idiot.
He's having a proper eagle. Honest, Jay. Jay's walked out.
Yeah, well, there's many ways to skin a cat.
I was thinking the same thing. Danny.
And, look, the Sports Bar is a brilliant show, and it's very, very popular. And Jason and I are chums, and we've worked together many times. His delight at Spurs' decline, I should say, ought to be a little bit tempered by the fact that he was once prepared to take their money when he was actually wearing the shirt.
Didn't want to play from Danny. I've interviewed him about that.
Sure.
Didn't want to go there. Wanted to play for Chelsea. Chelsea didn't want him.
There's a real simple way. Don't sign the contract, then, isn't there?
Yeah, sure.
What did you make it out? Well, I mean, obviously he was wearing that Ange Postecoglou mask that makes him look like he'd be arrested in the street, and his hat. And Jamie went off, but I think he came back, didn't he?
Yeah, it's tough to be the person. There's not much humour about it at the moment. And also, you're not actually down. Is the thing. I will say that. I know we're talking about like you are. You're not actually down. Opta, the supercomputer, says you've got a 16% chance of going down, which isn't very high. But then Opta supercomputer doesn't take into things like humanity.
Vibes and vibes. Yeah. And the same Opta supercomputer 1 week ago was giving us a 4% chance. So that's quadruple.
That's gone up. Right,
in a
okay,
week.
Yes.
Listen, let's talk to somebody who's played for Spurs and played for a Spurs team that perhaps wasn't as great as we would have hoped, but he toiled manfully in the midfield for them. It's the former Spurs, Chelsea and Uruguay star, Gus Poyet. Hello, Gus.
Hello, Gus.
Hello, gents. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Gus, I remember watching you at the turn of the century and beyond at Spurs when, Spurs had no money and were still in the old training ground and the old stadium and all the rest of it. And yet, the team wasn't great, but everyone was trying their heart out. And there was a connection between the fans and the players. Can you believe what's changed in the last couple of years? Just how bad things have got?
Well, it's difficult to explain. Is it true that maybe the expectations after the years of Pochettino change a little bit? When you get to a Champions League final, now you got more responsibilities. You need to maintain or get closer to that level. And like you said, lately it's been dangerous. I always say to the class, be careful, because you play with relegation 1 year and you get safe, and you play again and you get safe, and be careful, because when you play too much at the end, you're going down. And the worst is what you said before is the vibes, is the atmosphere, is the feelings. If you watch the game yesterday, obviously Palace changed a little bit in the second half, but it looked like with 10, they had a little bit more, like a garra from Uruguay, like a passion, like gumption, where they were 11v11. And that hurts a little bit. I'm supposed the fans, it will be terrible, because you can see that they can. So why they don't? They don't do it in the beginning.
Particularly at home.
Gus, you're a born leader. I can't imagine you ever being quiet in a dressing room. But what does it take? What sort of players need to stand up? Because I can't see them in the Spurs team at the moment.
Well, with any doubt, the ones that stand up and the ones that need to take responsibility is the captains, whoever they are. Obviously, it's a very difficult situation for Romero. Once because he's been having a troubled season, and I cannot imagine him trying to tell the rest to be together when he's the one getting sending off every now and then and letting them team with 10. But I think it's there is a moment. I don't know if it is happen. Maybe it did happen. This the one I'm gonna say, but there is a moment that they need to close the door, the dressing room, only players, forget about managers. And say, listen, this is our careers. It's our life, our family. There are young players in there. That when you go down, life changes. It's not going to be the first time that a team goes down and it takes 5, 6, 7 years to come back. It doesn't matter the money, but championship football is completely different.
Yeah. And Gus, I think you're absolutely right. And I think Dominic Solanke referred to it afterwards. But because there comes a point with a group of young athletes, what the footballers are, they know how to play the game. They've been trained by the best coaches from the age of 10. It's not about coaches and managers anymore, I think, at Spurs. The 16 players wearing that white shirt have somehow got to sort this out between themselves.
I think it's the only way. With all respect to the players nowadays, my humble opinion or advice is listen to the coach for the basics, go into the pitch and play that game. That is nothing to do with the previous game or with the next game. It's that one you need to play. And then do what you need to do in that game, because we can plan everything possible as a coaches.
Mm-hmm.
But then the game starts and you get a player sent off and everything you prepare is going. Now you need to react. I cannot stop like in basketball and give a minute. No, I can't. But maybe you can do what Arsenal does. No, the goalkeeper down and everybody go with Arteta. That's a different matter. But what I mean is, you need to be careful because, the managers are gone now. Now Ange is no more responsible. No. Thomas Frank, nobody will remember. Now is the place that they are there with a coach that stay there until the end of the season. So they need to really make sure that, okay, we players missing, the ones that go on the pitch, they have something together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look, the supercomputer still thinks they'll stay up, Gus. What's your instinct? Can Spurs survive?
Look, I hope so, but it's scary. I was there live at the stadium against Arsenal, and it was poor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, poor. I mean, I remember when I play against Arsenal, against the unbeatables, the ones that won the league without losing.
Yeah.
Somehow we got a result, a 1-1 or somehow, because you play that game. Like I said, it doesn't matter how good they are. You need to play that game in a different way. And don't get beat, because you are Tottenham at home against Arsenal. And I didn't see that. I saw a good group of fans in the beginning of the game supporting the team until the 3-1 or the 1-3. That was, but the end of the game, it was really worrying. And then you expect something at Fulham, and it doesn't happen. And then you start this game so, but then you start making this kind of, I don't know. It's a kind of everybody's expecting something to happen.
Yeah,
it's going to go against the Spurs.
It's fear.
Fear. That's the word. Fear. We are all sitting watching the game and thinking something is going to happen.
Yeah,
and sure enough,
and then last night it did, and the captain got sent off, and then you had 3 captains last night. It was go through all these things. It's really tough. It's really difficult for the team.
It really, really difficult. And, normally when you change the coach, and I feel sad for Tudor, when you change the coach is coming and there is a reaction. That's why you change, to see a reaction.
Yes,
a reaction,
of course.
Listen, a reaction by the players. 90% is the players, maybe 10% of the new coach that you go there with a different mentality. Is the players that they say, okay, coach is gone, now we are responsible.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that. With all respect, it looks a little bit worse from what I see before. So that is something that needs to change now. There is no more time.
Gus, I wish Spurs had, I don't know if you can play in goal, but I wish Spurs had 10 Gus Poyets.
Yeah, that's what
because they would not be in this position
you need.
That they are now. And I know the game has changed since Gus was doing his stuff, but surely heart, soul, devotion, focus on the moment that he's talking about there, that can't have gone out of fashion, because without those basics, no team is going anywhere. Now, thanks to Gus Poyet for joining us there.
Thank you.
And frankly, giving out about the situation, which is what I hoped he would do. Fiery Fridays are back again and out now on TalkSport's daily podcast. Adrian Durham, Alex Crook and Angelina Kelly arrive every Friday armed with one blazing hot take each. In today's episode, Crookie explains why Thomas Tuchel needs to be more like Mikel Arteta. They also discuss who the most overrated manager in the Premier League is. And if you want to hear more, then the TalkSport Daily is available on all podcast platforms and the TalkSport app. Listen, you're listening to us here, Kelly and Bake on TalkSport in partnership with Toolstation. Your next step, Toolstation.
not a great evening for Villa at all. Here's one for you, Gab.
Hi, mate.
You're 17th in the form table. They've seen a 10-point gap with Chelsea chipped away to 3 points. They could be 6th after the next round of games, having fallen 16 points off leaders Arsenal. They've lost 4 home games in 2026, including the FA Cup. Now, Gab, I know,
Hi, mate.
but I'll tell you this, mate, and I said at 6 o'clock, as disappointing as it is, mate, it can't be a great shock to you, because you kind of semi-predicted it to me maybe about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Okay, first of all, what I want to say, Ali, is that these players, manager, fan base, cannot feel sorry for themselves.
Yeah.
Aston Villa are in the top 4 as it stands. They're in a knockout stage tie against Lille, which is next Thursday away from home. So it's not all doom and gloom. Has it been a horrendous 2026? Of course it has. But you know what it's like in football, Ali? You can't feel sorry for yourself.
Correct, mate.
If you're the leaders at that football club, if you're the Concerts, the Mings, the Watkins, you're getting these players together and saying, come on, guys, let's not let our season fizzle out. It's not been good enough. Last night, I mean, where do I start? The first goal, Martin, he's not even looked behind his shoulder. That gusto is there. Enter Fernandez has got time on the ball.
It's worth mentioning, Gabby, you got off to a brilliant start, mate.
Yeah. Fantastic goal, and that was more likely from Leon Bailey, taking his fullback on the outside and using his weaker foot to cross it. Goal. But Aston Villa's tactics were similar to when Unai Emery first come in.
Well, Spurs are now just 1 point clear of the drop zone with 9 to play, and their former defender, Ramon Vega, says it's a serious situation.
This is not about nice football anymore now. This is surviving now. And these players really have to put the mentality into it. Guys, this is not about anymore if you're good or bad anymore. This is about you getting these 3 points.
Now, how does the atmosphere at Premier League grounds compare to those of the Championship? Well, Sunderland's Luke O'Nien says it's actually been disappointing this season. But he's also told us the Black Cats' travelling fans have been immense and praised a fellow newly promoted side.
When you go to a place like Leeds, the game, it's special, and our fans have been like that since League One. We had 35,000 fans in League One, and we're a sellout in the Premier League.
Speaking of Leeds, Daniel Farke has been handed a one-match touchline ban. He ran onto the pitch to speak to the ref following their loss to City. In F1, Aston Martin's team principal Adrian Newey says they might not make the grid for the season opener in Melbourne this weekend. They've got battery problems, among many others. And Steve Harmison says with a heavy heart, it's time for Brendan McCullum to leave the England setup. Baz wants to stay on despite a poor showing in the Ashes and a narrow defeat in the T20 World Cup semi-finals.
get some of those, no doubt, very, very excited and happy Spurs callers on in just a few minutes' time. Charlie, I'll expect you to cancel them.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I'm probably too furious.
I've got lots of championship tips for people for when they go to different places as well. So we'll give you a bit of that.
We'll sprinkle those in as well. Thank you very much indeed. Meanwhile, as you heard on the news there, Russian and Belarusian athletes are going to be allowed to compete under their flag and with the national anthems at the upcoming Winter Paralympics in Milan Cortina. To discuss the story, we're joined by TalkSport's athletic correspondent, Michael Waydock. Good afternoon, Michael.
Afternoon, Danny. Afternoon, Charlie.
Afternoon, Michael.
Good. This is going to lead to a boycott, and I understand that. A boycott of the opening and closing ceremonies. I understand that, Michael, because I cannot, you'll have to explain this to me, I cannot understand for the life of me, while Russian and Belarusian athletes were banned from the recent Winter Olympics, from competing underneath those flags, and I understand the reasons for that, and I agree with it 100%, why suddenly the para athletes are going to be allowed to do it. What's the logic here from the Olympic committees?
Well, the logic is that the Olympics and the Paralympics are actually organised and run by separate organisations. So we hear a lot about the IOC, that's the International Olympic Committee. They run the Olympic Games. The IPC, which is a completely separate organisation, they run the Paralympic Games. That is the International Paralympic Commission. And this decision about bringing Russians and Belarusians back into the Games was inevitable when the IPC voted last year, in fact, so around about 6 months ago now, to readmit the Russians and the Belarusians. That sounds quite simple. It is slightly nuanced because what they basically said was they will allow Russians and Belarusians back. And you quite rightly say they will be able to compete in their own kit. We will have anthems if they win a gold medal. They can, of course, compete under their own flag, which hasn't happened since 2014. But they did give the decision to the international federations. Now, a lot of the international federations, like the Federation of International Skiing, the FIS, initially said no to the Russians and the Belarusians. But Russia and Belarus took this to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They won their case. And that is why the Russians and the Belarusians are back at these games. And as I say, that's why the decision here is different to what happened at the Olympic Games. And across the sporting landscape, there is no consistency. So, for example, Russians can now compete internationally as Russia in judo. But FIFA are still holding a strong line, although, as I understand it, they might be looking to try and change that to readmit the likes of Russia into international football competitions.
Okay, and tell us then, who are the countries who are pushing back against this decision?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that when the vote first came up, Paralympics GB, which is the organisation, if you like, that is responsible for taking athletes from this country, from Great Britain and Northern Ireland to the Paralympics, Paralympics GB voted against this decision. But with this movement, and the Paralympic Games is all about inclusivity, this movement to put athletes first, that is why the majority of the national Paralympic committees voted to bring the Russians and the Belarusians back. So what we've got tonight, and we've got the opening ceremony of these Winter Paralympic Games in Verona this evening, what we've got tonight is a lot of countries boycotting this opening ceremony. So the likes of Ukraine, Czechia, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Finland won't have any involvement in this opening ceremony tonight. The UK government has said that they will send no representatives, there will be no ministers, no diplomats at this opening ceremony tonight. Now, you won't see Paralympics GB marching in the stadium tonight, but that is not a decision that's been made because of the political and the geopolitical situation. That is a decision that they've made due to the performance of the athletes, because basically Verona, where the ceremony takes place, is around about 4 hours from any of the competition venues. Most of Paralympics GB's athletes are in action tomorrow, about 4 hours away. So what Paralympics GB have done, and they've got their flag bearers, Scott Mina and Menna Fitzpatrick, they have pre-recorded their contribution. And Germany are another one that have pre-recorded their contribution tonight. So you will see it on television, but they won't physically be in the arena.
Okay, Michael, thank you for giving us the background to that. Michael Waydock there. We'll keep you up to date with the Paralympics, Winter Olympics here on TalkSport. I have to say, look, I feel nothing but sympathy for the individual athletes, but on a personal level, this has soured the whole thing for me. You can't have Russia illegally and brutally invading Ukraine without the response being hopefully across the political, social and sporting world. And I know keep sport out of politics, well, keep Russians out of Ukraine. You know, it's as simple as that. All right, let's what are we doing now?
We're going to take some calls, I think, Danny.
Well, I've been putting off. I'm making
You're
a speech
putting it
about
off.
geopolitics.
I know you want to talk about geopolitics and put politics into sport, but I'm afraid you have to talk about your favourite thing to do, which is watch Spurs.
Why don't we? Okay, then. Glenn is a Spurs fan. Hello, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn.
Afternoon, gents. How's it going?
Thanks for joining us. And what did you want to say, my friend?
Weirdly enough, I wanted to talk about names. You can probably guess from mine where it came from.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. You don't hear too many little Harrys and that. Sorry, obviously Harry was the last one, wasn't it? But you don't hear about too many little Matisse or too many Mickeys, do you? Sorry, go on.
Go on, it's a bit early for that, isn't it? They'd have to be really quick adopters of those names. But yes, there was a whole generation of people from North London, boys called Glenn with 2 N's for a reason, absolutely.
Yeah.
What did you want to say, Glenn?
It's just a real embarrassment, I think, now being a Spurs fan. Like, I can't think of the last time I was actually proud of being one. Like, my
Bilbao.
Even then, though, really, like, was it a victory? Like, the last genuine time I remember being, like, happy as a Spurs fan was out in Amsterdam watching Ajax. I was off my nut for 48 hours solid. As you
Amsterdam.
When in Rome.
You weren't in Rome. You were absolutely in Amsterdam. Maybe you were in the wrong place. So you weren't actually watching Spurs. See, that's why you enjoyed it.
We were trying to
Shut up, Charlie.
But yeah, it's just a real sad thing, isn't it? Like, you've got, all these, guys that are much older than me. I haven't had a season ticket in 6-7 years now, and I genuinely haven't been bothered. Yeah, I know everyone likes to mention that sort of sliding doors moment about the Champions League final, and obviously you should have bought players then, but it's just got worse and worse.
That was part of a pattern of decline. Glenn, I would go, if I were you, I'd go back to Amsterdam and see if you can lift your mood somewhat, shall we say. Mike is another Spurs fan. Hello, Mike. Thanks for joining us on TalkSport.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, very good. What do you want to say?
Good show as always.
Thank you.
Tottenham season ticket holder 28 years now. Did start that 28 years ago with a nice head of hair. There's not much left, let's say.
Yeah.
I blame Tottenham for that solely. This has been coming, guys. It's been coming for 10 years. We've got to the point where there's no togetherness. Any player that had any backbone in our team, at the Champions League final, for example, they all wanted to play together. They all had a bit of fight in them. We gradually sell them one by one, and none of them has ever been replaced. This has just been papering over the cracks for years and years. I was never a big Levy fan. The change was always kind of welcome, but I think he papered over the cracks and he did a good job of it for such a long time. As I said to a lot of my Tottenham friends, be careful what you wish for, because we could do with him right now, papering over the cracks and just getting us through this. He probably won't be putting up with this.
The irony of this is that this is, Levy is the front man for ENIC, who own the club, and they have been very pleased because over the time of their tenure, their investment has increased 20-fold. But of course, everything comes home to roost. And if Spurs do go down, and I believe they will go down, that valuation for the club of over $3.5 billion will go down by a massive percentage. And they will have to look in the mirror and say, we've lost all this money, and it's partially, at the very least, and possibly largely, our own fault. Keep those calls coming, please. Interested in your views about this. Charlie, very quickly, because we've got to take a break. Give us a couple of things people have told us to look out for.
Of course. Yeah, don't go to Norwich. The pies aren't very good, apparently. Danny, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Isn't it? There are people saying that. There's no... But Hull, the scran is great, apparently. That's what Jamie's saying.
And probably not 15 quid for a burger either. Let's be honest about that.
That's Austin in Norfolk saying that about the pies at Carrow Road. You could, Dan, if you can, you can go and admire the Etihad and Old Trafford, then watch your game at Stockport County, says Stephen in Hackney.
I've got a mate called Kevin who's a massive Stockport County fan. I will love that. I will definitely go to the game in Stockport.
And a couple of Millwall fans saying you won't be playing. We could talk about us, but you won't be playing us because we'll be in the Premier League. So.
Well, again, for a very close friend of mine, I hope that's true.
Of course.
Also, because I have seen football between Spurs and Millwall in the Den in one infamous fixture on Boxing Day back when Spurs were in that division. I hope never to see scenes like that on an English football ground again. So if Spurs do go down, I'll be back in Millwall all the way to go back up. Though, of course, the world has changed.
Andy in Oxford says, I'd advise Spurs fans to get a seat in the back half of the away section at Oxford. So they get the best view of the fence and the car park if Oxford stay up. I don't think Oxford will stay up, so I don't think you have to worry about that. Not next season, anyway.
Though one of their players will likely be playing up front for Spurs next season. Will Lankshire's on loan with them there and looks to be improving every
Get Troy Parrott back. That's where it all went wrong. The Parrott left.
Well, he's become leading goal scorer, and they'd sell him again, wouldn't they? Look, we've got to stop this. We've got to go for a break because there are other things to talk about here on Kelly and Baker, although I can tell from the look of the phone lines, this is something people do want to talk about. You're listening to me, Danny Kelly, and to him, Charlie Baker.
Fabrizio Romano is the man in question here. But the question that goes from many people at this particular time regarding Fabrizio is there a fine line between being a top journalist and being an influencer? Or can you be both? What's Romano done? He's been criticised after he posted a video on Twitter to his 27 million followers, which essentially, in the eyes of many, was an advert for Saudi Arabia and their humanitarian aid. Now, the video itself is about a couple of minutes long, but we've cut it down. This is Fabrizio.
King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center. Over 10 years since its inception, the center has implemented 4,212 projects in 113 countries worldwide, reflecting the leading humanitarian role of Saudi Arabia. 155 cases evaluated, patients from 28 countries across 5 continents. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ranked second globally and first in the Arab world in humanitarian aid for 2025 and topped the list of the largest donors according to the United Nations Financial Tracking Service, FTS.
So for 2 minutes, Fabrizio tells us and lauds and applauds the work that is done by the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Centre. But some other journalists have laid into Fabrizio for the post, some suggesting now that he helps unsettle the transfer market by putting up paid posts from agents and others.
Yeah, the clock is ticking, and I'm not talking about Tottenham. The clock is ticking. You've got until 4 o'clock today for your chance to win the ultimate summer day out for you and 11 of your best mates. How does a VIP private suite at the Cricket sound? Thanks to Pitch Experiences, we're sending you to their luxury super box at the Oval for the England against Sri Lanka ODI. We're talking the full VIP treatment, fine dining, your own personal mixologist, a private balcony, and a Q&A with cricket legends while you soak up the action live. Sounds really good, right? Well, listen up. Here's how to enter.
Yes, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260. Lines closed today at 4 p.m. and that's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a TalkSport promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. Come on, you Spurs.
Thank you very much indeed. Now, look, for the horse racing fans who, when I reported, I'm a few kilometres from Willie Mullins' yard.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had snow,
Oh, yeah.
and it was going to affect the horse. Today it is the most glorious day. The sun beats down on the side of Mount Leinster, the Black Stairs, the Nine Stones, and Mount Brandon, the little range that I live in.
Lucky Brandon.
And the horses will be, no doubt, in great form today. I'm also, therefore, looking forward to seeing the Ireland Rugby Union team tonight after their fantastic victory against England a couple of weeks ago. They take on Wales tonight. To preview that, to talk about the Six Nations, I'm joined by the former Ireland player Dave Kilcoyne. Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave.
How are you, lads? Great to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Dave, let's be honest. 2 weeks it makes a lot of difference. I went into that game between Ireland and England fearing the worst, and yet I'm not wrong in saying that was as good an Ireland performance we've seen in years. They were fantastic, weren't they?
And they talk about England going through a transition period, and Ireland the same. My God, I was over at it. It was the best Irish performance I've seen in about 7 or 8 years. Away from home to do that, incredible.
Yeah, and now, of course, the trick is for them to carry that on against a Wales team that we know have been in the very, very the slough of despond, but are showing some signs of life now. The performance that Ireland put in, Dave, if it's going to mean anything, they have to almost repeat it in Dublin tonight.
100%, and that's why I mentioned England. It's like they went through the transition period and got through it, and for Ireland to get that win over there was massive. Playing Wales tonight, Wales did very well against Scotland. None of us want to see Wales in the doldrums like they are, unfortunately. The regions are struggling. They're struggling.
Yeah.
Did well last night, so it's going to be a tough test tonight, but hopefully Ireland can build on the momentum that they showed last week.
Ireland have sort of had the flip competition to what England have had, really. A bad start, and then have picked up some momentum as they've gone along. Do you think they could be contenders? I can't see France losing at all, is the thing. France looks so good, but do you think they could be contenders in the next year or two?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, going into the competition, and I'm an Irishman, proud Irishman, it was always hard. Yeah, I know. But you'd pick two teams that were like potential winners. You would have said England, France. France are obviously delivering. I thought England had, gone, and they had. They showed in the autumn, they'd gone through the transition phase, doing really well. Steve's game plan to kind of come to fruition. Lads were playing really well. Last week was, I've never played against an England team where they look, after 50 minutes, they look lackluster.
Yeah.
They were looking around, and it was like, and I'll be honest, obviously, I'm on the Ireland side. We didn't expect to win. First of all, win. I think a good game would have been happy.
Yeah. Record points scored at Twickenham. Incredible.
Sorry. Can't send that. Someone's ringing me there. So yeah.
They're ringing you to tell you on the radio, Dave.
No, my dad actually got an operation today, so my mum is ringing me to tell him we're going to Wales.
That's far more important.
But back to the England game, it was like, they'd gone through the transition. They were up for Grand Slam. Everyone was talking it before it. Last week was like, I don't know what happened, but, and you're saying, will France do it? They probably will. If there's any team backs to the ball, hurting after last week. Hopefully they do as a job in the Stade de France. And,
Dave, Dave, one more question about England. All right, they've had 2 bad defeats, but I wonder, in a team sport, is it sensible? They have changed every single back, either positionally or mostly in personnel. How can that work in international sport? Where's the cohesion going to come from?
So I'm taking it all in, cohesion. Okay, so they came in with a game plan, did an unbelievable team in the autumn, did unbelievably well. Steve backed that team. They didn't perform. And you kind of have to admire the strength of character to change. To change. He's not afraid to make changes. And that's why I think France, I wouldn't be resting on their laurels over. I think there's a massive game in England. You know, they have the players. We thought they had the coach group game plan. I think there's a massive backlash coming from England, and I hope it's on the last day.
Oh, yeah, that's the
point.
point.
We'll look forward to that, Dave. In the meanwhile, enjoy the game tonight and good luck to your dad.
Thank
Dave. You very, very much indeed. And what I loved about that, Charlie, talking there to Dave Kilcoyne, is that, like me, he's in a house which appears to be made out of stone. And stones, irregular stones. So that gives the impression that everybody in Ireland lives in a castle,
in one of those or one of those little croft sort of, I don't know if they're called a bothy in Scotland, but I don't know what they're called in there.
No, just stone cottages. But no, I want to put this to bed. Everybody in Ireland does live in a castle. You're listening to Kelly and Baker on TalkSport. More Spurs, more everything in the next 2 hours. Thanks for listening to us.
David, good morning, mate.
Good morning, David.
Morning, all.
David, here's a quick one for you, mate. I know we'll not be talking European football. We'll calm everything down. I want to start with this statistic, right, which I would imagine would please you as much as anything. Everton, after reaching the 40-point mark in 28 games, that's only the second time they've done that in 9 seasons. Now, I reckon that in itself is an achievement. But, and I know you'll play it down, you must have a wee thought about European football.
Well, I said right at the start, Coisty, that I said to the players that, we need to try and aim for it and hope that it was possible. In truth, it looked a million miles away, to be honest, at the start. But I have to say, we got off to a pretty good start in the league, and it's given us something to hold on to. We've been up and down, and we're probably just on the outside of European football, if we're honest. But we're not that far away that we couldn't try and make a go of it.
David, obviously the Grealish injury was disappointing, but how happy are you now with the competition for places? Beto and Barry are in great form. You've got McNeil and Dibbling fighting for a spot. NDI and Tyreek George. You've got Branthwaite back as well. The squad's looking more healthy now, isn't it?
It certainly is. I mean, I have to say, Jack was brilliant for us in the early part of the season. He gave us lots of things which we haven't had, and he helped the team greatly. So we've missed him, and we missed him over the middle of the season, middle of December and January, really, when we had also a few injuries as well. But probably no different to other clubs. But we're just beginning to find our feet a little bit again, and the players you mentioned, they're all beginning to step up.
Yeah, during the next hour here on Kelly and Baker, we'll be hearing from, in his own very important way, one of the most important footballers in the history of the English game. That'll be in about 15 minutes' time. Before any of that, though, and all the usual shenanigans, we need to get some sports headlines for you, and they come from Hugo Chambray.
TalkSport Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Thanks, Danny. Good afternoon. Last night's loss against Palace has doubled Spurs' chances of being relegated. That's according to Opta's supercomputer, while former defender Ramon Vega, who's told us staying up isn't about pretty football. He's had a pop at the board and says if they're to sell up, it has to be done right.
This has to be taken over by professional people from the football industry as well, and make sure that this club actually deserves what the club's name is and the reputation. At this point now, that reputation and brand of the club is a disaster.
Well, they go to Atletico on Tuesday night, live on TalkSport. Elsewhere, Leeds boss Daniel Farke's been handed a one-match touchline ban for confronting the referee after defeat to Man City. Leeds host Norwich in the FA Cup on Sunday. That's also live on TalkSport. Real Madrid have been sanctioned by UEFA after a supporter was filmed appearing to perform a Nazi salute. It took place before last week's Champions League game against Benfica at the Bernabeu. They've been fined just over £13,000 and given a stadium sanction suspended for a year. And new rules will come in next season to limit the amount of full contact training allowed in rugby's top flight. Prem clubs have agreed to video all contact sessions and to log any concussions that take place outside of matches. Former England international Anthony Watson revealed this week that he cheated a concussion test during a test match in 2017. He spoke to TalkSport Breakfast earlier.
Rugby definitely, I can hand on heart promise you that it's improved no end from a protocol standpoint.
It's hoped the changes will reduce head injuries and increase player longevity. There's more at TalkSport.com.
TalkSport News.
4 men have been arrested on suspicion of spying for Iran, and more planes are heading to the Middle East to help British nationals evacuate. More from the news team at past.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Scotland and Northern Ireland looking largely dry with plenty of sunshine. Meanwhile, England and Wales will be rather cloudy with some rain, generally cooler for most of us.
During my chair dancing, as I always do at these chairs, I feel like I should be doing some kind of Hawaiian hula to this, but
nice.
But since we've become visual, my dancing has become a little bit restrained.
Oh, that's a shame, Danny.
I know,
because you're a beautiful dancer. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that you're one of the world greats.
They go, well, I know Flatley. I know what you mean, though.
I'm no Flatley.
Well, as you can hear, legacy comedy greats Danny Kelly and Charlie Baker are very much in the house, sitting in for the actual greats, Hawksby and Jacobs.
Back next week.
Who I've taken this week to take holidays. I don't know, Paul's in the Seychelles. He texted me earlier on saying, I'm well out of this Spurs thing. All I could see was one of his photographs where his toes are silhouetted against an azure blue sea.
Oh, lovely.
And he appeared to be drinking something sticky out of a coconut shell.
Oh, exactly
what
you want, isn't it? Perfect.
Really, really good. Andy Jacobs, in contrast, is here in Ireland in the snow.
Yeah, they don't go on holiday together, despite what people think.
Oh, that'd be too Morecambe wise, wouldn't it? That would be just magnificent if they went on holiday together as well. Though, of course, they are tremendously good mates, which is reflected in the way they broadcast, obviously.
Wonderful.
Listen, lots of sport coming up. I say in 15 minutes we'll talk to one of the most important players in the history of English football, Clyde Best. People
what a player.
of my age will just go, oh, my God, Clyde Best. Here we go. But first, we need to talk about Formula One, since it's back in Australia this weekend. But before we get on to that, the conflict in the Middle East could have an impact on top-level sport, no doubt, and has now doubts have been cast on the upcoming Formula One Grand Prix in the region. Tom Clayton explains.
Formula One is continuing as normal in Melbourne for the opening weekend of the season. Just a few weeks ago, the teams and personnel were all in Bahrain for pre-season testing, and the sport says it's confident all its staff and affiliates are out of the region. The conflict has cast doubts over the upcoming Bahrain and Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, which take place on the 12th and 19th of April, respectively. In a statement, Formula One has told TalkSport, "We have been in ongoing contact with the relevant authorities in the region, as well as in the UK, Europe and the US, and we continue to actively monitor the fluid situation." Drivers were asked about the situation before the cars took to the track on Friday. Alpine's Pierre Gasly notably said he has full confidence Formula One's authorities will make the right decisions. In terms of alternatives, it remains unclear if either race would be able to be moved to a later date or if they would have to be cancelled for the year.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that's going to be a movable feast, but yeah.
I mean, it's a truly global sport, F1, isn't it, Danny? No matter what you think about it as a sport, it is truly global. It goes to all continents. It's everywhere, so it's going to be affected by global events.
But as somebody who's watched the sport expand and expand and expand and expand, a couple of less, for terrible reasons, of course, a couple of less Grand Prix might not be the worst thing. But let's talk about the actual racing, which begins again this weekend in Australia. Jamie Chadwick is a British racing driver, and she joins us now. Hello, Jamie.
Hello. I was about to say good morning, but it's definitely not morning. I'd say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jamie.
Good afternoon to you as well. Look, I want to talk about International Women's Day as well, because I know you're involved with that. But let's talk about the motor racing. And for an amateur like me who watches it with interest but no expertise, the news that one of the cars is hurting the drivers is just bewildering. What's going on with Aston Martin?
Oh, I know that's sore hearing for everyone. I think the Aston Martin fairy tale, Adrian Newey going there, what we were expecting to be quite promising for the rule change this year with Honda as well, seems to be a bit of a nightmare and a disaster. So effectively, yeah, there's a few issues there. One's the reliability element, where I don't feel like they think that they can get to race distance, but beyond that, I think just the drivability of the car is way further off than what they were hoping for at this stage of the year going into the season. So it's a bit of a disaster so far. I'm hoping it's all kind of just talk at the moment and they're going to get through this weekend and it's not going to be as bad, but for sure they don't look anywhere near the pace when you look at practice.
Yeah,
sorry, go on, please, Charlotte, please.
The rule changes, I've only just read this morning, so I'm not I'm trying to tell people who haven't kept up with it, is one of the rule changes is that trying to move towards 50-50 electrics in the car as well as the internal combustion engine. Do you think this is a slow move towards it becoming Formula E in some sort of way?
That's what Max said, isn't it? He said it's like Formula E on steroids, but I don't think so. I mean, the cars have been hybrid for, since the last rule change. So there's always been an element of this kind of regeneration of electric energy, but 50-50 is a much, much greater split. So it is very different what we're seeing. Kind of the demand on the driver from everything they have to compute inside the cockpit is much greater. You can't just drive a lap flat out. You actually have to think about saving and deployment and where the best places are to do that, not only for a qualifying lap, but in the race, it's going to be critical. But then also with the new regulations, the teams have kind of quite big differences in philosophies. And it's a little bit difficult at this point in time to decipher who's got what kind of advantage, but I'm sure it's going to shake itself out after this weekend.
Sure.
Well, I guess as long as it remains, I mean, the sustainability arguments about Formula One have been done to death, and I'm sure they're doing all they can. But as long as it's competitive, I guess that's what will keep it at the forefront of televised sports. Now, Jamie, I have checked. International Women's Day is Sunday. How are you connected with that, other than the obvious fact, obviously?
Other than the obvious. So International Women's Day this year, we're going to be launching an initiative with Daytona Karting in the UK, where we're offering free karting for 5,000 girls under 18. It's something I'm really proud of and really excited about. We launched my karting series a few years ago called the Jamie Chadwick series, which had much more kind of uptake than I was expecting initially. And as a result, I kind of just want to put something on where, we can encourage as many young girls to at least try the sport for the first time. Not everyone's going to leave it wanting to be a racing driver, but it's such a difficult sport to get into in the first place. It's not the most accessible sport. So just giving that opportunity for young girls to try it, especially, I think, increase that talent pool, increase that grassroots level participation, and hopefully they can filter through to higher levels in years go by.
Yeah, it's often a financial barrier, isn't it, rather than anything else that gets in the way and getting into F1 or into motorsport. So this seems a really good way of getting into it, Jamie.
Exactly. I mean, it's sort of step one. I mean, it doesn't take away all the barriers that kind of come beyond that. It's an expensive sport. You see what goes into it and you understand, to be honest, why it is an expensive sport. But at the same time, I think so many people never have the opportunity to try it. So it's kind of breaking that down. And there's so many roles in the sport beyond just being a driver that if you can have the access to the sport, learn a little bit about it, then hopefully it gets more people involved in the first place.
Yeah.
I hope I've got a name right, but as someone like Danica Patrick proved in the United States, there's no reason why women shouldn't drive cars every bit as fast as men. As you say, there may be social, financial, other barriers that we need to be aware of and overcome. Back at the actual reality of what we've got today, which is a bunch of chaps doing it, who do you fancy for the title?
Well, the book is all saying George Russell, and I was pretty confident with George going into the year. But to be honest, Ferrari aren't looking too bad. McLaren aren't looking too bad. But I'm going to stick with it and say George for the title. But I think this weekend it's going to be a different case of who's strong. I think Max Verstappen, Red Bull are looking pretty decent this weekend, actually.
Please say Ferrari, Jamie. Come on, we need Lewis Hamilton to just take revenge and turn over the absolute travesty of a decision that was made a few years back to stop him getting 8 in a row.
I know. I mean, to be honest, coming into, well, they always come out the blocks blind. They're always strong on a Friday, so I'm not going to read too much into that. But today they were very strong, particularly in FP1. The problem Lewis also has is Charles. Charles isn't any slouch, so between them it's going to be incredibly competitive. But the cars are also a lot smaller this year. They're a bit more nimble. There's a bit of a difference in the drivability of them, how you get the most out of them. And actually, I think that suits Lewis. I think a lot of people have said the way Lewis drives is more kind of in line with what these cars are providing. So if that's anything to go by, I think we can be optimistic. But yeah, it's going to be so competitive. Excellent. As ever. It's hard to tell.
Jamie, thank you for that. And thank you for joining us. And good luck with the karting. Jamie Chadwick there. Because nobody, Charlie, wants to see the great Lewis Hamilton like last year, like he was driving a milk float. And of course, I haven't lived in Britain for almost a decade now. I don't know if milk floats even exist anymore, do they?
I think everyone's trying to bring milk floats back. The original electric cars, Danny, aren't they?
Oh, milk floats, they were way ahead of their time.
I wonder if in that karting series, what they do on Dawlish Warren Seafront, where I grew up, is that they do it and then halfway through a race, they'd throw a big soapy bucket of water on one of the tight corners so everyone would spin out. I wonder if they thought of bringing that into this series at all. I didn't get the chance to ask Jamie that. She may have not taken it seriously, Danny.
Since we're doing karting, I didn't realise we were going to do this, so it's in my barn. I have a little trophy from the day at his personal...
You beat Michael Schumacher. I know this story, Danny.
I did. I beat Michael Schumacher on his own... He has his own go-karting course, bless him, in a place called Kirpen in Germany. He wasn't ready for my blocking tactics. I'll say no more than that. You're listening to Kelly and Baker on TalkSport in partnership with Toolstation.
Let's go to Lauren, who's Arsenal fan. All right, Lauren?
Oh, hi, Jamie. Sorry, it's actually Laura, the Arsenal fan.
All right, Laura.
Hi. How are you, boys?
Yeah, we're good. How are you? You feeling good?
Up the Chelsea.
Oh, I'm feeling great. I've just come fresh off the back of presenting the Arsenal game on TNT and just, to be honest, really enjoyed it, Jay.
Oh, it's Woodsy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Jamie!
Woodsy, you've done it.
What's happening?
Woodsy, why is it taking you so long to phone us up?
Do you know what? I've been reveling in a brilliant season and I've just been enjoying myself.
You know what? It's bad if Woodsy's phoning us up.
You.
It's bad. Hold on. Where have you been when you've been bottling it, Woodsy? What's happened? All of a sudden you go 7 points clear and you phone us.
Jamie, I had to scroll down my phone. It took about 5 minutes to find you on the table.
Oh, Woodsy, this is a
scrolling.
Spurs ain't even played, and it's the worst night for us ever. I'm like, what is going on?
I don't even want to answer questions. I just want to ask you how you're feeling.
Woodsy, take the floor.
Woodsy.
I'll sit back and enjoy it. All right, take the
Woodsy,
floor.
I feel sick. I feel sick as a dog right now. Honestly.
How awful is it? How bad on a scale of like 1 to Spurs is it right now?
I can't believe I'm getting stick off Woodsy.
Woodsy, can I ask you,
up TalkSport.
Woodsy,
What's
can I ask you a
going on
question?
here?
Woodsy, do you want Spurs to get relegated?
If I had a choice of which one, is that what you're asking me?
Woodsy, answer whatever way you want, right? Do you want Spurs to get
No.
relegated?
No, I absolutely don't want Spurs to get relegated because I want to enjoy more North London derby pummeling for years to come. For years to come.
Yeah, Spurs fans continue to respond on 03717 223344 and to tug at the hem of our garments. Next up for that activity is Adam. Hello, Adam.
Good afternoon, Danny. Great show as always. How are you doing?
Thanks, Adam.
Really, really good, and really keen to hear what you've got to say about what looks like an unfolding calamity at Spurs.
Danny, let me put it this way. I'll put it short and sweet. I've been a Spurs supporter for over 45 years. I've seen the highs. I've also seen the lows. This situation now is so dire. I've never seen it in my lifetime to how bad it is. I couldn't remember the 70s when we last got relegated. So essentially what we need to do now, we've got a powerful moment to do a reset. Half of me says that it might be good for us to get relegated and give these owners a big shake-up, wake-up call. Obviously what they've done in their demise of running this club. This was coming, and it was coming for quite a long time. I think we all, as fans, but also importantly, Danny, and I say this in the most respectful way, you as a Spurs support for many years and fellow TalkSport guys and ladies need to kind of voice, you shout out to the board that enough's enough. We can all just look at the situation, talk about it, but talk is cheap. Action. We all need to take responsibility for what we care for. We don't want to see where it's going, but we have a responsibility to let that board know that you need to change ownership, because unless we protest, Danny, I know you may have heard it before or not, if we don't take action, there's no inaction. So we've got a responsibility to do something about it. That's where I think we need to be going right now.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that. And, you know, the board is discussed endlessly on all the podcasts I listen to and the one that I host. But at the end of the day, Football fans do not have that much power because we're addicted to it. So we'll go, and if you go, you're contributing your money. And you've never seen a mass boycott of a major football club. It just doesn't happen.
No.
But I take Adam's point.
Danny, do you think if you did go down, do you think you've got the players to bounce you straight back up?
Look, that's easy to say. And I think it's untested, Charlie, because you're going to have to say, I said it.
You're saying you'd lose sort of 10, 11 players.
But the 9th biggest football club in the world by revenue would suddenly descend to the second tier. Who knows what would happen? I mean, Spurs could would probably sell their first team, but then they could buy the best player from every championship team that remains.
Yeah,
they could, in theory, completely dominate the championship. But as we've seen with big clubs like Leeds and Sunderland, Ipswich, who've gone down there, sometimes there's absolutely no bouncing back from it. Now, look, I have every faith that the sheer gravitational size of Tottenham, the sheer mass and bulk of it, and the global standing and the amount of supporters I know are out there, I suspect it would come straight back. But suspecting it and doing it are two different things. I didn't suspect they'd get relegated in the first place, but they're doing their level best now. And it would be, as you say, incredible for the other clubs in the Championship, knowing that they would sell out, Spurs would sell out their end. They could offer 10,000 tickets. Spurs would have 10,000 visitors to all of these grounds. So, the short answer to your question is absolutely. I think that they would come back, even because these owners.
I'm not saying never.
Incentive.
I'm just saying to bounce back quite quickly.
No,
it's really tough. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But the owners have got an incentive here, haven't they? Because the enormous value they've built up in what is essentially an entertainment hub with a football club at the middle of it would suddenly be chopped right down, and they would lose Daniel Levy and then his ex-colleagues at ENIC. They're going to lose hundreds of millions of pounds if they get relegated.
Would you like some serious texts, Danny? Would you like to hear some texts?
Yeah, of course. Give us a few texts, then John, the Spurs fan, will join us.
Great.
Yeah.
Richard in Essex says, "Hi guys, I've been a Spurs fan since 1969 and I witnessed relegation 50 years ago in 1976. That relegation allowed for the development of the likes of Glenn Hoddle and to focus to hire players like Ardiles. Relegation will allow us to reset and reinvest in the team and just like Villa, come back stronger." Not a bad point, Danny. Do you agree?
I think the world has changed a lot since between that relegation and this. And I, too, was on the ground in Manchester when they really officially went down, when they lost 5-0 at Manchester City. Yeah. And I was there the day they beat Leicester 2-0 on the day they actually went down. But none of the players left. And that, Glenn Hoddle, he's right, was starting to appear in the team and totally dominated that division, the Division 2, the next season. But I think the world has changed completely. Yeah. The squad would be picked clean by predators, Spanish, Italian and English, and we'd have to essentially start again from scratch. And anyone who knows how competitive, well, all the leagues in the English Football League are, but particularly the Championship, knows there's no guarantee that you would just stroll back up. And Spurs didn't stroll back up last time either. They were reliant on a 0-0 draw at Southampton the last day of the season to get them back up into the top level. Sorry, I missed the name. Who's the next caller? John, the Spurs fan. Hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, Danny. Hello, Charlie.
Welcome, John.
Danny, absolutely love your passion for Spurs and sport in general. It's really refreshing to hear. I dread to think what Mr. Hawksby's making of it all at the moment. But I was just saying to your producer that the club, like you say, we've got no one who actually plays for the club anymore. The only one I'm really noticing that's really, really putting in a shift at the moment is Archie Gray. God bless him. He's worked his socks off since Ange brought him in, and he will play anywhere on the pitch. Even if you put him in goal, I reckon he'd do a job. But we really need. I think we're going to sort of, God knows how, and it's the Spurs way. We'll get through it through the grit of our the grit of our teeth. We'll get through it. Sorry, skin of our teeth. That's what I meant to say.
That's the one.
Yeah. John, I get it.
We will stay up. But I'm really. I've seen the highs, I've seen the lows, and like you said, Stevie Perriman, Glenn Hoddle, and all that. Yeah, yesteryear. But I tell you, when they got relegated. But this is. I was watching last night, and I'm like, what is going on?
What the hell is just going on? There is no formation there. Well, not just last night. This has been going on since Thomas Frank. And
they are not a team. They are not a team, Spurs, anymore. People say this is the worst Spurs team. They're not a team. They're just 11 individuals in white shirts. That's not a team. Nothing like a team.
No.
Listen, thank you, John. And if they do stay up, I think there will have to be another tranche of changes at that club, and I'd be surprised, and somewhere in the general direction, Charlie, of astonished if both Johan Langer and Vinay Venkatesham were in place at the start of next season if Spurs are in the Premier League. There's no chance if they get relegated. Listen, thank you very much indeed for that. I've lost track of what I'm supposed to be doing. Let's go to a little break, and when we come back, we've got plenty more stuff for you. Right now, I'm having a reset, a deep breath.
That's it. We've got the news, Danny, and then we've got Stan Collymore. So that's going to be great.
But I know what I should do. Stan reminds me, we need people for the Fools panel.
Oh, yes.
You didn't remind me of this, Charlie.
So
we need people for the Fools panel.
It was my job. I can only apologise.
No, we're not. That's an old-fashioned demarcation dispute. We're not in the 1970s now, Charlie.
I was just trying. I've been reading too many things about how bad Norwich's pies are. So, Delia must be furious.
If you want to take part with me and Charlie and Stan, and who is the commentator?
It's Jim Proudfoot, Torquay United's biggest fan on Talks. Finally, TalkSport might talk about Torquay United, finally.
The mighty Jim Proudfoot. Then give us a ring, please. 03717 223344. I'll give it that number again and slowly. 03717 223344. We need you for the Fools panel.
Every game, every week, where the goalkeepers go over, they do that one where they go up for the ball, they jump, and then they fall forward, and they waste 4 or 5 seconds on the floor. Every single goalkeeper does.
I liked what you said before that, though, Gary. We're closing ranks, and we're just getting on with it. Daniel's a big Arsenal fan. Do you agree with Gary there, Daniel? You're closing ranks, and you're just getting on with it.
I fully agree with Daniel. I fully agree with Gary.
Yeah.
Reason being is, do you remember before Arteta joined Arsenal, how Arsenal was before? We were walk the ball into the net, weak old Arsenal. You can't win games like that. Now we're strong Arsenal, we're boisterous Arsenal, and I love the fact that we're playing housery. Love it. Finally.
Well, Spurs are now just 1 point clear of the drop zone with 9 to play, and their former defender, Ramon Vega, says it's a serious situation.
This is not about nice football anymore now. This is surviving now. And these players really have to put the mentality into it. Guys, this is not about anymore if you're good or bad anymore. This is about you getting these 3 points.
Now, how does the atmosphere at Premier League grounds compare to those of the Championship? Well, Sunderland's Luke O'Nien says it's actually been disappointing this season. But he's also told us the Black Cats' travelling fans have been immense and praised a fellow newly promoted side.
When you go to a place like Leeds, the game, it's special, and our fans have been like that since League One. We had 35,000 fans in League One, and we're a sellout in the Premier League.
Speaking of Leeds, Daniel Farker has been handed a one-match touchline ban. He ran onto the pitch to speak to the ref following their loss to City. In F1, Aston Martin's team principal Adrian Newey says they might not make the grid for the season opener in Melbourne this weekend. They've got battery problems, among many others. And Steve Harmison says with a heavy heart, it's time for Brendan McCullum to leave the England setup. Baz wants to stay on despite a poor showing in the Ashes and a narrow defeat in the T20 World Cup semi-finals.
Yeah, a little Spurs update for you. We understand here at TalkSport that Igor Tudor will continue as Spurs manager for the immediate future.
Okay.
That's a TalkSport understands, and he is indeed going to take the press conference prior to the Champions League game against Atletico Madrid in the middle of the week.
You'll win that, Danny, 3-0.
Oh, look, no, they won't. Sorry, that was a lovely, lovely fantasy. Time now for our weekly update on everything that's going on in the world of football with Stan Collmore. Good afternoon, Stan.
Dan, Charlie, you're looking very Unai Emery-esque with your very slick, beautiful. Looks as if you've got the Brill cream boy.
But it's clay wax I use on it, Stan.
Very nice. Same
and people shout just for men at me all the time. There's not a touch of dye on this hair. Not one spot.
I'm going to tell you a very brief story about John Gregory, my former manager at Aston Villa, is that he joined Aston Villa, I think he was 41, 42, so he's still a relatively young man. And he had thick black hair. And now and again, he'd come in 2, 3, 4 weeks into training. It'd just look a little bit lighter and a little bit greyer. Yeah. And then he'd come in the next day and it'd be jet black. So all the lads used to call him Just for John because he had that exact look. Jet black hair, beautiful. But you do look very Unai Emery.
That's kind of you, Stan. Thank you.
The thickness and blackness and height of Charlie's hair, I often fantasise that if he would just grow it a few more inches, it would look like he was wearing a buzzbee and was a Coldstream
Guard. Wouldn't it? Like a Coldstream Guard. I could put something in it. That'd be lovely. Anyway, stop talking about my hair. Let's talk about football.
Yes.
Stan, Stan, I have to say, as a Spurs fan, I got very little sympathy for the thing you want to talk about, Aston Villa's woes.
Yes, injuries and woes generally. Form isn't good. I've been to the last few games, particularly at home, but I did go up to Newcastle where we won several weeks ago. Seems a long, long time ago now. I think that as a Villa fan, I would argue that when you're missing John McGinn, Boubacar Kamara, Yuri Tielemans, arguably the three best outfield players that we have, is that you take that hardcore, the heartbeat of the team out of any team, and it's going to have an impact. It has. There's no doubt about it. But as a pundit, and people often say to me, particularly on social media, Arsenal fans, Chelsea fans, Spurs fans, Liverpool fans, Villa fans, you can't be both. You can't be a fan and a pundit. I can go from fan mode to pundit mode. So pundit mode would say, I think that Villa are stretching the excuses a little bit now. I saw the Wolverhampton Wanderers performance against Liverpool recently, a team that are dead and buried. And when you're dead and buried, you don't care anymore. Everything's off. You're expected to be relegated and you can just have a bit of fun. You're playing to get away, playing for a new contract. And that's very much the mode that Wolves are in, for example. Yeah. But Villa's performance the other night, I thought, was against Chelsea, started quite brightly. And here's the thing about Aston Villa, is that when they play at tempo, doesn't matter who's on the pitch, they can create chances and cause problems. And they started like that. The fans were up for it. The players were up for it. But then when they went 1-0 up, sat back, and I can tell you that the exact move that happens, Emi Martinez gets it on the edge of his 6-yard box. He stands on it for 10, 15 seconds. He'll pop it to Tyrone Mings or Pau or to Ezri Konsa. They'll stand on it for 10, 15 seconds, and it sucks all the life out of the game. One of the things that I scream at when I see players, particularly central defenders, stand on a ball and stop it, is that it's contrary to everything that you're taught as a professional footballer. Don't stop the ball from moving, because once you do, you stop momentum, and it's very difficult to then go through the gears. And that's what Villa did. So I think that in terms of the criticism of Unai Emery and the recruitment machinery of Aston Villa, they've dealt with some things quite poorly. It's not just been a case of poor form and missing out on, 3 players that are out injured. The Harvey Elliott situation, Villa have dealt with that poorly. They decided they wanted to bring him into the club. They knew the parameters.
The poor bloke. It's a terrible situation for a professional footballer.
So for Villa to turn around and say, "Well, we've had a look at him in training, we didn't like him," that's on Villa. They decided they knew what they were getting in terms of a player and whether he would fit or not. So
and contrarily, Stan, they let Daniel Marlon go, and he's setting the world on fire.
Well, that was my second point, is that I actually, when Marlon went, I think that it's at the top of his value. I think it's 25 million euros plus. And he'd played about 6 or 7 or 8 very good games for Villa. But before that, he was a bit hit or miss. So I can see the economics of it. But the economics, in comparison with Villa are one of the favourites to win the Europa League, a real chance to win some silverware, and to get into the top 4 and the Champions League, and then the financial situation that would bring, is that it's a no-brainer. Is that you basically bring in, other players on the back of housekeeping to reception now. I'm sorry, I'm outside at the gym, and they want housekeeping to reception. So it must be a very posh gym. But in terms of Daniel,
I want to see you doing this spot on that treadmill when you're running.
Before the end of the season, I'll be on the treadmill doing me 20 kilometres an hour. I absolutely promise you. But going back to Daniel Marlon, is that you make a judgment call, don't you? We take 25 million plus add-ons now, or we continue with him scoring maybe 5 or 6 more goals to the end of the season and performances, and we get in the Champions League or win the Europa League. So for Villa, as a manager, Unai Emery, as a recruitment department, they haven't always got it right. What I would say is, with my fans hat on now, is Villa have now just got to look at it and say, we're in a massive scrap. We've got to raise the tempo, home or away, and if we do that, we're going to be competitive. If we don't, and we play this slowly across the back and fail to get up to tempo, every team that plays Aston Villa are going to feel that they've got an opportunity to win the game.
Is this Villa's ceiling, Stan, or do you think they've got another bounce in them, another jump in them?
It's going to be very difficult. What I would say again, from a Villa fan and a pundit, is that 8 out of the starting 11 played for Aston Villa in 2021. I defy anybody to find Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United, Man City, anybody that's competing to find the same kind of parameters. But they are using a lot of players, even players that are missing, players like, John McGinn, that have played in the Championship for Aston Villa. So I'm not Unai Emery, in terms of having Villa in the position of 4th in the Premier League and as favourites to win the Europa League, is a miracle. But I do think that then you reassess a situation whereby 2/3 of the way through it, when you get away with the playing quite slow, because you're not playing against teams every single week that are looking over their shoulder at relegation or looking forward to qualifying themselves for Champions League, is that Villa shouldn't be beyond criticism, and neither should Unai Emery. But in terms of what he's doing with the players that he's got, Charlie, it's a minor miracle. Yeah. There are no teams in the Premier League that, with 8 out of the starting 11 playing from 2021, would be as competitive as Villa have been over the whole piece.
Charlie, Stan, contrarily the other night, you're right, Villa were static and slow and invited trouble. I thought Chelsea were brilliant, and I thought for the first time I could see what they were trying to do with their rather mad scattergun transfer policy of the last 3 seasons. I thought they were terrific.
I remember doing a piece in a national newspaper about Mudryk and his choice between Arsenal and Chelsea, and I said I think Chelsea would be the best long-term bet. And of course, I had lots of Arsenal fans saying, "We'll see, we'll win something before you." And Arsenal may well. And I'll drag Arsenal into this, because I think there is no need or reason or justification for Mikel Arteta or Arsenal Football Club to legitimise or justify any criticism from elsewhere about the way that they play football. It's a game for winners. It's a game about winning. My only gripe, very briefly, about Arsenal is that the whole setup of getting Mikel Arteta in was that he was a football purist, and this was a purist project, and they were going to basically play that kind of purist way. They haven't. He's taken a pragmatist approach, and that's absolutely fine. But in an entertainment industry, I think that people that pay television subscriptions and et cetera, do have a right to be able to criticise the Premier League and say, well, if everybody played like Arsenal do, and I'm sure I'm going to get lots of Arsenal geeks saying we've scored this amount of goals from open play and it hasn't just been about slowing the game down in set pieces, is that entertainment is a part of it. We are paying huge subscriptions, huge ticket fees to be entertained. So I think there is that angle. So that's dealing with Arsenal. In terms of Chelsea, Charlie and Danny, I genuinely think that their purchasing of all of these players was scattergun and madness. But they had the money, and the policy was very simple. Let's buy the very best young players, in some cases, on the planet. Now, was it always going to be the case that it took 2, 3, 4 years to get up to speed? Not necessarily. Some teams hit the ground very, very quickly. But what I would say about the performance from Chelsea the other night at Villa Park was that's the best team performance I've seen in B6 for quite a number of years. And they are the most aligned, or they are most alike to the PSG team that won the Champions League last year of any Premier League team. Now, it's going to be a big jump to get the consistency week in and week out with a manager that's going to be very much learning his trade as well along the way. But if they can, and if they stick to the principles of playing football through the lines, really quick, inventive player, number 10 Cole Palmer, that I hope genuinely takes some kind of form that he had at Villa Park for the rest of the season in a Chelsea shirt and then an England shirt, is that they could be a very, very persuasive title bet for the next couple of seasons, because they opened up Aston Villa at will at times. Villa not playing very well, it has to be said, but they did start and they did take the lead. But the way that Chelsea responded and the type of footballer that they've got, excellent technicians, players that can go past people. You had Garnacho down the left-hand side, the best wide man performance that I've seen in the flesh this season. Gusto overlapping Reece James down the right, the movement of João Pedro, the calm of the midfield enforcer Caicedo. It really was a top draw performance. So I'm not getting carried away. I think that Arsenal will win the title this season. And as I've said, Arsenal can win the title in whatever way they see fit, and only Arsenal fans will care in terms of the way that they're played. But if Chelsea can keep everybody together and they can continue some forward momentum and get some crucial consistency, I think that they could be an exceptional team moving forward.
Listen, thanks very much for that, Stan. We'll take a quick break, then we'll do the Fools panel. Stan will be doing it on the Alpine Cross Trainer.
Honestly, today, can you hear me today? You went to win hell of a beat to the Europa League champions. Honestly, the Europa League champions, Beyonce, chicky, can you hear me, chicky? You went to win hell of a beat the big cockerel. Honestly, the big cockerel, saving by the stadium. There's that signing. Where is he? Can you hear me? There's that signing. You went to win hell of a beat the Morgan Gibbs White signing. What happened to that one? Where's he gone? Can you hear me, Morgan Gibbs White? You went to win hell of a beat to the Williams signing. Big Edge. Do me a favour. Can you hear me, Big Edge? You went to win hell of a beat, Big Edge. AJ Tracy, Seven Sisters train station. Adele, 3-point lane. There is to do. Jamie Horror, you went to one hell of a beating. Ticking. Adele. Chicking. Adele. Chicking.
All right.
Adele. You went to one hell of a beating.
Crestfallen.
Adele.
I'm crestfallen.
Chicking. Adele.
Hello.
Chicking. Adele.
Hello.
Chicking. Adele.
Hello.
Chicking. Adele.
Hello.
All right.
Adele.
Come on.
Adele.
Spurs.
Hello.
What are you doing to me? What are you doing to me? It's the worst Tottenham side I've ever seen in the Premier League. It's the worst team I've ever seen ever.
Yeah, that theme music can only mean inevitably one thing. But let's be fair, for many people, the highlight of their entire week, the Fools panel here. Oh no, that's the clips of the week. That's coming up later on. And it is a Cheltenham special, which I'm looking forward to hugely, mostly because I don't think I'm going to feature. The Fools panel today, in order of where they are in the league table, is Stan Collmore representing the Pros. Our commentators who are in second place currently are represented by Jim Proudfoot. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Look at him there. What a lovely thing to see on your screen in front of you. I'm representing Paul Hawksby, who's in mid-table. The callers are represented by Patrick, the Villa fan. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Patrick.
How are we doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Patrick.
Really, really good. Looking forward to doing this as well. And bringing up the rear, if that is an expression that's still acceptable
I think
on
so.
the radio, I'm delighted
If
to
the
say...
woke mob haven't shut that phrase down, Danny.
You could go to prison for saying that now in England. Representing Andy, it is Charlie Baker.
Yeah.
I want to get going here because we're behind time.
We're behind now.
3 FA Cup ties for you, all of which are live on the TalkSport network, including tonight's game between... in the Black Country between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Liverpool, replay of the recent and very upsetting for Liverpool fans league match. Stan, how do you think this game is going to go tonight at Molineux?
Wolves can go for it. They can literally go and enjoy it. It's a free hit for them. Liverpool will leave some big hitters on the bench to start. I'm going for the draw, but I just don't know whether to go with 1-1 or 2-2 with Liverpool to win it in extra time. So I'm going to go 2-2 with Liverpool to win it in extra time.
Thank you very much indeed. Very detailed. Jim Proudfoot, how do you think this one's going to go?
I'm going to go for a draw as well. I've gone for 1-1. Just on the same basis, I think Wolves can name pretty much the same side that played the other night. I don't think Liverpool will. They definitely won't with the Galatasaray games coming up. So I think that it's extra time's the last thing that Arne Slot will need, but I think he'll get it. I'm going 1-1.
Thank you very much indeed. The cliched pundit response is that lightning cannot strike twice. Therefore, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Liverpool, they just don't convince me at the moment. Something's not right there. I know it's rich coming from a Spurs fan, but something's not quite right. I think Wolves can do it. What about Villa fan Patrick, who's not going to hold a grudge against poor old Wolves, is he?
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not. I think it'll be a return. I think Liverpool might make it 2-1.
Thank you very much indeed, Patrick. So that's a good range of all results are being accounted for here. The casting vote goes with you, Charlie.
I think Liverpool will win this game 3-1. I think they'll feel like the shackles are off and they'll go for it and they'll get back into their groove.
Fantastic. Well, a really interesting game then at 5:45 on Saturday, live here on TalkSport, is that between the coming power of Wrexham and the coming power of Chelsea as well. In their different ways, incredibly well-financed clubs at the level they're at. They meet in the FA Cup, which is supposed to be a lever in itself. Stan, why don't we just do these in order? Stan, what do you think is going to happen there at Wrexham?
I think Wrexham will score, but if Chelsea are anywhere near the kind of level they were at Villa Park in midweek, then I think it'll be fairly comfortable. So I'm going to go Wrexham 1, Chelsea 3.
Thank you very much indeed. Jim, as I say, Wrexham, a real coming power in British football, and he said English football there, but they're up against quite a pretty handy Chelsea squad.
They are. I mean, Sam spoke brilliantly about Chelsea a few minutes ago. And I would echo everything that he says. I think that they will win comfortably. They're going to make changes, but they made loads of changes in the last round at Hull. They beat them very handily indeed. I think that they will win 3-0.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is me now. I think it will be closer than you two because I think momentum is everything in football and the ground will be rocking. But I do expect Chelsea to win, so I'll say that they'll win by 2-1. Patrick, you're a Villa fan, but what do you think about this game between Wrexham and Chelsea? How's that going to pan out?
No, I do hold a bit of a grudge against Chelsea after what happened. But I do think Chelsea will win 3-0.
3-0.
Okay. So here's a chance for you, Andy, to get a lot of points here because if Andy goes against the go on, Charlie.
I'm representing Andy, but I'm also got Jim Proudfoot in my head, I know Jim Proudfoot, big Torquay fan, will be a Liam Rossini Stan, as they call them. So that's why he's gone 3-0 for Chelsea. Andy would probably say 8-0 Wrexham. If Andy was here,
higher.
I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea.
Thank you. So a clean sweep there for the pensioners, as I never cease to call them. As we move on to, what looks like the juiciest tie perhaps of this round, up there in the northeast of England, 8 o'clock kickoff, live on TalkSport, Newcastle United against Manchester City. It should be a belting game, but how will it turn out, Stan Collymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you look at the Forest result in midweek, Forest going and scoring 2 goals against City. They're certainly more porous this season than they have been in recent seasons. And then you look at the Great Escape, Newcastle United, their result against Manchester United in midweek. So you're looking at sort of players buzzing in the dressing room, looking forward to the next game versus players that may be looking over their shoulder a little bit. I'm going to go Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1.
Ooh, thank you very much indeed. Jim, how do you think this one's going to go? Hard to call, actually.
Well, it's always ominous when I go against Stan because that never ends well. I'm actually going to go for Manchester City to win, and I'm not convinced by Newcastle. I know it was a very good performance with 10 men the other day, but I just think that they can be on edge at home sometimes. We saw that against Everton. The City were much better than Newcastle when they beat them in the first leg of the League Cup semi-final just a few weeks ago up there. Beat them again subsequently, and I think that they will have enough. They haven't lost an FA Cup tie away from Wembley since 2018. I think it's 15 away wins in a row in the FA Cup.
Now, that's a proper commentator stat. That's brilliant.
Stat there. He's not
Bravo, Jim.
Very good, Jim. He's not just thinking about Ebbsfleet away tomorrow. I know that.
Yeah, I nicked it from Adam
what's the
Bridge,
score going to
so
be,
don't
Jim?
give me too much credit. I am going to go for 2-1 to Manchester City.
Okay, that leaves me representing Paul. Both these sides have got their flaws, and both these sides have got tremendous strengths as well. I love the boy O'Reilly at Manchester City. I think he's got everything. He can be. Who knows? In 2 years' time, he could be one of the best players in the Premier League. I just think that City have got so many things on their mind that Newcastle might be a bit more focused. I'm going to go reluctantly for a 2-1 win for Newcastle United. Patrick, the Villa fan. Again, no skin in this game. Patrick, what do you think will happen up there in St James's Park?
I'm going to go for Desmond.
Two goals each. That's right. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for taking part as well, Patrick. And finally, Charlie, your chance once again to try and gain some traction for Andy's pathetic efforts this season.
The trouble is, I think I agree with Jim. I'm going to say 3-1 to Manchester City.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you to Stan. Thank you to Jim. Good luck to both of them with their various works over the weekend. Thank you to Patrick, the Villa fan, for joining us. That's the Fools panel. We've still got an hour to go. Remember, you're listening to Kelly and Baker on TalkSport in partnership with Toolstation, standing behind every single tradesperson of Britain. Next stop, Toolstation.
Has the hiring of Edu destabilised the best season in a generation at Nottingham Forest? And how much responsibility does Evangelos Marinakis have to take for it? We understand that he's been told to stay away from the City ground, pending a termination of his contract at the end of the season. I know that Forest fans will be reluctant to criticise Marinakis, but is this a mess of his own making, because he had a manager who was very successful, almost took them to the Champions League. He started to interfere, and all of a sudden they ended up dropping down eventually into the Europa League, but then they lost to Nuno Espirito Santo very quickly. So is this got to be on Marinakis' shoulders?
Of course it is. And do you blame Nuno Santo when you've got a sporting director coming in and probably not giving you a say on any players that you're bringing in? What do you expect as a manager? And if you speak to the older generation of managers, they'll say, what? Someone's telling me what players are coming in, and then I'm going to.
That is the way of the world now, though.
I know, but then is that fair as a manager? Like we said in previous shows, sporting directors should be coming on and doing press. You're the one bringing in the players. The manager's doing the best they can with these players. They might have wanted 10 other players that you have said no to. Some of the players that they brought in Nottingham Forest, Douglas Luiz on loan didn't work. Zinchenko on loan didn't work. Amari Hutchinson, 37.5 million. Only one Premier League goal in 22 appearances. McAtee, 30 million. Hasn't worked. Ndoye hasn't worked. Bakwa hasn't worked.
Yeah, Cheltenham is coming, and to mark that, in a few minutes' time here on Kelly and Baker, we'll have a Cheltenham special in Clips of the Week. Much else besides. Todd will join us from the USA as well. For any of that, though, we should get you bang up to date with the news and the sport. The sport comes from Hugo Chambray.
TalkSport Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van centre.
Thanks, Danny. Good afternoon. TalkSport understands Igor Tudor is safe in his job for the immediate future. That's despite Spurs losing all three of his games in charge, plunging them deeper into relegation danger. Tim Sherwood's been speaking to TalkSport, questioning the players' motivation.
Where's the deterrent to get relegated? I'm not sure it's there. Well, it certainly ain't going to hurt them as much as it hurts the fans, and that's what it's all about.
Tottenham are considering bringing in Dougie Freedman as their new sporting director as part of the club's ongoing restructuring. He was Palace's sporting director until last year. Elsewhere, Wolves will be hoping lightning strikes twice as as Liverpool head back to Molineux in the FA Cup this evening. Mo Salah scored his first goal in 10 games in the league defeat on Tuesday, while Cody Gakpo has 1 goal in 9. Arne Slot says the team need to be better to help his forwards.
We expect from them, and they expect from themselves, to score more or assist more. But as I said so many times, attacking is not only down to Cody and Mo. So yeah, let's make sure we create even more, and then goals will come for these players as well.
That match is live on TalkSport this evening. Now, the King has been invited to attend the 150th anniversary test between England and Australia in Melbourne next March. It'll be a one-off day-night match at the MCG to mark the anniversary of the first test ever played back in 1877. Queen Elizabeth II attended the 5th day of the centenary test in 1977. All living England and Australian cricket captains have also been invited, and Iran won't be represented at the Winter Paralympics, with their only athlete not travelling to Italy due to safety concerns. The opening ceremony takes place later tonight. There's more on our website at talksport.com.
TalkSport News.
4 men have been arrested on suspicion of spying for Iran, and a man's been jailed for life for the murder of his ex-girlfriend's family. More from the news team in half an hour.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you, so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Scotland and Northern Ireland look largely dry with plenty of sunshine. Meanwhile, England and Wales will be rather cloudy with some rain. Generally cooler for most of us.
Power on TalkSport. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Yeah, Time now for today's Bet Builder with our friends Paddy Power. Welcome to Max Thompson, and we're looking forward to Saturday afternoon in Nottinghamshire as Mansfield Town play Arsenal. Very romantic tie in the 5th round of the FA Cup. It's live on TalkSport, Max. And please remind us of how the Bet Builder works.
Yep. Hey guys. So we've got a 5-leg Bet Builder here. So Charlie's got a pick, Danny's got a pick, Sean the producer has a pick, the people have a pick, which is the most popular bet on Paddy Power at the minute, and then I've got a pick. This all comes together for a Bet Builder, which will hopefully win, and all the proceeds will go to our charity partner, which is the Attitude Foundation.
Well, thank you very much indeed for that. So it's a 5-leg Bet Builder, and here are our picks. Mine is simple. Despite Arsenal's power and the team they're liable to put out, I think Mansfield will score.
Yeah, Mansfield to score. They've got 11 goals in 4 games in the FA Cup this season, including 2 against Premier League opposition last time out in Burnley. So in front of their home fans, you'd expect they might get a few chances.
Lovely stuff.
Okay. What about you, Charlie?
I've gone for 3+ goals in the match.
Yeah, going for goals here. I had a look back at the FA Cup results for both teams this season, and it's happened in every single Mansfield and Arsenal game over 2.5 goals. So hopefully, once again, that'll happen tomorrow.
Okay.
Our producer's pick, he's gone for Gabriel Martinelli to score any time.
Yeah, he hasn't actually scored a goal since the last round of the FA Cup against Wigan, and the round before that he got a hat-trick against Portsmouth, so he's certainly enjoying the FA Cup this season.
The next one is the people's pick. Now, the people have got together and really come up with something special here. They've gone for Arsenal to win.
Yeah, they've gone for Arsenal to win. We've actually moved it to Arsenal to win -1 on the handicap. So,
that's nice.
Just to up the odds a little bit.
Bit of value, yeah.
The people are expecting Arsenal to beat Mansfield, which is a surprise.
Yeah, well done, the people.
Well, they're not going with the magic of the cup there, are they? That's the problem there.
No, they're stony-faced and unromantic, the people. And Max, I mean, obviously these selections are hopeless. Please save us for something brilliant now. What have you gone for?
I've gone for Gabriel Jesus to score any time. Didn't play against Brighton in the week, so you'd expect he'll be leading the line, and you'd expect he'd get a few chances as well. So I'm going with him to score any time.
So, allowing there for the people and the hopeless opinions of me, Charlie, and our producer, as well as your brilliant idea, Max, tell us about how the odds finally come together.
Yep, so we've got over 2.5 goals here. Mansfield to score, Martinelli to score, Arsenal to win -1 on the handicap, and Gabriel Jesus to score. The odds are around 6.8 to 1, so a £10 bet would return £78 for charity. Hopefully win.
Yeah, let's hope that happens. Okay, listen, thank you very much indeed, Max. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, guys.
Max Thompson there. That's
Thanks,
Paddy Power's Bet Builder for today. The minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. It's 18+ and begambleaware.org.
Paddy Power on TalkSport. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Now, we've got a few minutes to the next break, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
This is normally where Andy takes out of his sort of satchel that he carries around.
He does, yeah.
Like he's a Pony Express delivery man from the 19th century. He pulls out a clutch of hand-constructed pieces of paper with old bits of newspaper sellotaped to them.
It's a beautiful thing. You can't even try and match it. I learned that on this show. That's Andy's thing. That's like me turning up to a Miles Davis concert and trying to play trumpet.
Oh, exactly. And when Andy delves into that satchel, he produced this stuff. Sometimes it looks to me like he might bring the Egyptian Book of the Dead out of there. It all looks so valuable and ancient.
Exactly.
So that means that we have to find 4 minutes to entertainingly fill this space.
Well, we can do that. We can. Stuart's been in touch to stand up for Norwich pies, so I don't know if you want any of that. He's saying that Norwich pies are good. Delia is now just a spectator, and we've got lots of money. Canary stew, that is.
Where are you?
Where are you? Whether they'll all turn up for Spurs. Spurs, you're only here for the Spurs. That's what you'll be singing, Danny. There we are.
Well, Charlie, there's a part of me that's resigned to it. So, and because I love football and I love Spurs, there's a part of me that's looking forward to it. I have to say that part gets a good slapping from the other part of me that says, what is the matter with you? They've got to somehow extricate themselves from all of this. What else are people saying? What are Spurs fans or others saying on the text for us?
Villa went down.
Sorry, I've thrown you.
No, it's fine. Villa. I'm going to do you my mullets in a minute. I'm determined to get it in. Villa went down and bought a top 3 championship player in each position. It just didn't work out. It's not there. Well, that's what they say. Buy championship players and you end up in the championship. That's exactly what they say. But I think you'll be absolutely fine, Danny. I think you'll be absolutely fine. I don't think you're even going to go down. But I think if you do go down, I think you'll actually enjoy it. It'd be good for the club. You might be able to get like some of your younger players into the side, like Archie Gray can be your new captain. Build a team around him. You're going to love it, Danny. You're going to absolutely love it.
Sure, get Vuskovic back from Germany. We've got Tatu.
Mikey, what's his name?
Mikey Moore back from Rangers.
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah. All right. Now, in the last 3 days, that sound you can hear in the background. This I'll try and replicate the sound here. That's the sound of Charlie pawing at the ground because he wants to do his baker's dozen of 13 great mullets. Mullets, that much maligned haircut for men, are back, very much back. And you want to tell us about?
I've gone 13. With the OG mullet. I don't count the sort of newcomers to the mullet game. I don't count those. No. I'm going 80s mullets. The reason it came up is because someone sent me a picture of Nicholas Bentner with one, but turned out it was a very old picture. So, but
it was a classic mullet, to be fair to him.
Exactly, and for everything that Andy does with his bits and pieces out the Daily Star, my thing you've introduced is Baker's Dozen. So there we are. I am, as you can tell, filling time while I try and find it on our WhatsApp group. There it is. I've got it. Here it is.
You've been waving at me for the past 72 hours.
Let me do it. Right. So Baker's Dozen of mullets. Scott from Neighbours, who was Jason Donovan. I don't know if you remember him, Danny. And then also Mike from Neighbours. Who both had great mullets. Great.
Very good.
Jerry Francis kept the mullet a long time.
And when I asked him about it, his amazing spiky hair and mullet at the back, he said, "Rock and roll." He didn't understand the question. He just said "rock and roll" to me, which was
rock
great.
And roll. I've realised I've missed one now, which is Mark Haitley, who had an absolute banger, didn't he?
Anyway, up front for England with a mullet, brilliant.
He's not on the list. Anyway, Waddle, talking about England, Waddle and Hoddle, both great mullets.
Yeah,
superb, diamond lights and everything like that.
Yep.
Limahl. The lead singer of Kajagoogoo. Was he?
Kajagoogoo.
He was the lead singer. Too Shy.
Let me just tell you very quickly. Where my old dad, bless him, when he was alive, Top of the Pops was a mystery to him, absolutely. But he'd learned there was one pop group that had a funny name. So anybody would come on. It could be Alison Moyet, it could be Michael Jackson. He would go, "Is this Kajagoogoo?"
Who's this Kajagoogoo? I like that. I'm going to take it on. Anyway, Lamar, cracking mullet. Andre Agassi. Andre Agassi, until he lost all his hair and he started wearing a hairpiece, which he did whilst playing professional tennis. Wore a hair. Why would you bother? Other than that, that boxer who'd had his hair punched off the other week.
And Borislav Mihailovic, who played in the World Cup until it got too hot and the glue came undone. It was sticking up in the ear. Do you remember him? Bulgaria's goalkeeper.
Beautiful.
Went on to play for Reading because he thought they played at Wembley Stadium.
Wow, mate.
Yeah,
Agassi had a mullet, a beautiful mullet. Was also my favourite tennis player. I always have to get a Torquay United player in, Danny. Dave Caldwell. If you Google Dave Caldwell's mullet, absolute legend. Pat Sharp, Funhouse, of course, presenter and radio presenter and all sorts. Pat Sharp had a brilliant mullet. Ziggy Stardust. Now, I don't know if you take that as a mullet or not, Danny. David Bowie as Ziggy Stardust. Was that a mullet?
I would say that was a Ziggy haircut, unique unto itself.
Okay.
But I'm allowing it because I'm in generous mood.
Oh, that's kind of you. Barry Venison. I mean.
Oh yeah.
In many ways, the best one. Rudy Vuller and Charlie Nicholas. I did lots of footballers there. Anyways. There we
very good.
There's me Baker's Dozen of mullets, Danny. We got it in eventually. 3:16 on the Friday.
Yeah, and there is a modern variant. Watch the rugby tonight on the television. The biggest player on the pitch will be Ireland's lock forward Joe McCarthy. He's young, He's brilliant, and he's the strongest man in Ireland. Joe has the llama haircut at the front that all the young people have now, where you put all the bit in a curly, sheepy bit at the front, and a shoulder blade length mullet out the back. But he's too big, too strong, too powerful. Anyone said to take him, Joe, do you know your hair? Oh, no. All right. It's lovely, Joe. It's absolutely lovely.
It's smashing, Joe, really. What do you use on it?
Where'd you get that done, Joe? I must go there. No, hang on. I hope he can't hear this. He's in the same... no, he's over... Yes, he's
fine. You're all right, Dan.
And don't forget, there's some huge fights coming up over the next few weeks on DAZN. On the 14th of March, Jazza Dickens defends his world super featherweight title against Anthony Kachache. I hope I pronounced that correctly. On the 21st of March, George Liddard takes on Tyler Denny for the British and Commonwealth titles. Then on the 28th of March, the future heavyweight champion of the world, Moses Ituma, takes on Jermaine Franklin. Watch all those fights only on DAZN.
Boxing update on TalkSport with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
So it makes it more interesting, I think, Simon, for fans of other clubs. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If it was all to finish today and this was in operation now,
you'd go way down to 17th of Norwich in the league with a chance to get into the 8th spot. That's what you do.
Right.
You take 60. You take
it opens up. Yeah.
You take 66% of the league as it sits now. 18 clubs in this league could have a reasonable shout to make a claim for getting 8th spot, because there's 11 games to go in the conventional season. There's 6 points between Derby in 8th and Norwich in 17th.
Right.
And those games, and when you get running at the business end of a season, it really does change the dynamics of how people play. All of a sudden, you've got 66% of the league having something involved. Then you've got the other 25%, or 35%, sorry, sort of going to the Gabby Bongle arithmetic school, the other 34%, which would be fighting for not staying in the division. So you've got constant jeopardy in a league, which actually reminded me when I was over in America looking at the MLS and how they construct their leagues and how many teams get an opportunity to play in their playoffs and participate in outcomes for themselves. They have something like 60 or 70% of the teams in a league any given season that could feature in a playoff scenario.
Right.
So it's all
Does
about...
it affect the quality? There's a message coming through there. You're telling me that 8th could end up going to the Premier League. Surely, that ain't good in terms of the quality of the club that's going to go up.
Well, there's nip and tuck. More often than not, when you finish 6th in the league, and we went up as a team that finished 6th, there was the points total, I think West Ham finished behind us and Wigan finished behind us in the league, and they were like a point difference. So tell me there's a point difference between 6th and 8th. Pack it in.
Now listen up, everybody, because this is important. The clock really is ticking. You've got until 4 o'clock today. So what have we got? Less than 40 minutes, really, for your chance to win the ultimate summer day out for you and 11 of your best mates. How does a VIP private suite at the Cricket sound? Thanks to Pitch Experiences, we're sending you to their luxury super box at the Oval for the England against Sri Lanka ODI. We're talking the full VIP treatment, fine dining, your own personal mixologist, a private balcony and a Q&A with cricket legends while you soak up the cricket action live. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, listen up. Charlie will tell you how to enter.
Yes, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can call 0343 418 7260. Lines close today at 4 p.m. That's in 37 minutes time. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a TalkSport promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. For your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now.
Thanks, Charlie, and thank you very much to George. I think he's in Stoke Newington, who sent me on Twitter a road sign, Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
From somewhere on the A503. It's a very important road that snakes its way through North and East London. And on the road sign, it says Walthamstow 1, Tottenham 3, and George says a win at last. Listen, thank you very, very much indeed, George. I'm going to make that up into a big poster and put it on my wall.
Nice.
Trust me.
Great.
Yeah, now it's time for this.
Oh, great.
Oh, I threw a kind of Balinese shape there.
I saw it. I like you lifted your arms. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I have to say, one thing I have to say to Todd Macklin, Danny, is go Knicks. That's what I have to say. Go Knicks. Winning the East. Todd, we're going to win the East.
I just saw your Knicks thump the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We've lost to the Pistons 3 times. That's the only thing.
Yeah, here's what I would say. The Pistons, who are the number 1 team in the East right now, they don't have a lot of playoff pedigree. So I think that's the key thing. I think if you look at the whole of the East, so Detroit doing well, obviously the Knicks are doing well, Cleveland doing well. I just think it's so wide open in the East. I guess the big news of teams in the East, Charlie, is that Jason Tatum, the star of the Boston Celtics, who has missed the entire season with an Achilles injury, is scheduled to return tonight for the Celtics, which for a lot of people, they think it kind of swings in favor of the Celtics in the Eastern Conference to have one of the best players in the game back for them. But again, we don't know what level he's going to be back. You're coming back from an Achilles injury. Yeah. You just don't know what he's going to be able to play like.
Now, of course, in a piece of unbelievable radio unprofessionalism there, we didn't even introduce that voice.
Sorry, Danny.
That ghostly no, don't apologise. That ghostly transatlantic voice, of course, Todd Macklin. And while I was very interested there in the more obscure details of basketball, what I really want to understand, Todd, is a story about a sports star hiding food under his bed.
Yeah, so Zion Williamson is one of the biggest names in the NBA. He hasn't played like it, and a lot of people like to speculate why he hasn't. And injuries are a big part of it. But Stephen A. Smith, the kind of the shock jock in sports in North America, works for ESPN. And, he has called Zion Williamson a food addict. Basically saying, as you pointed out, that he hides food under his bed, eats all the time, and him being out of shape is a big reason for his failure in New Orleans, and a big reason that people are speculating about Zion's kind of future with New Orleans. Now, the Pelicans, what I love is they didn't take this lying down. The Pelicans kind of jumped to Zion's defense and put together kind of a show reel of all of Stephen A. Smith's mistakes over the years as an on-air pundit at ESPN. And it's just led to such a funny back and forth between the Pelicans and Stephen A. Smith.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Absolutely. Of course, the President of the United States is an unpredictable cove. I think I can say that. So when Inter Miami pitched up at the White House to celebrate their recent win, Todd, in the MLS Cup, it was always inevitable that President Trump would bring up Lionel Messi's greatest rival.
He did, yeah, he did. So, yeah, it's a kind of a traditional thing especially with pro sports teams. We've obviously seen it recently with the men's hockey team. After they won gold medal at the Olympics, they go to the White House and get their flowers. But Trump, as you say, is just so unpredictable. So instead of just celebrating Messi, great, and one maybe the greatest footballer of all time and everything that he's done, he, of course, brings Ronaldo into it. And, as Trump can only do, just makes it uncomfortable, right? Because I'm sure Messi or Ronaldo are both just so bored.
Yes.
It feels like you can't mention one without mentioning the other and kind of debating who's better. Here was a term just to enjoy Messi, celebrate Messi, talk about Messi. But Trump just doesn't know how to do that. And it just became really uncomfortable for Messi.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no point in trying to explain to Donald Trump that we're all very lucky and privileged to have been alive when 2 of the 5 greatest players ever to lace up with boots happen to be playing at the same time. Todd, I deliberately haven't read the next story, just your headline, Wiener Dogs on Ice. This could go anywhere.
This could be anything, Danny.
Yeah, so you guys, you've been to live sporting events, and especially ice hockey, they like to have stuff for the fans to see in the intermissions, right? So at the end of the first period, end of the second period, they have an intermission that the players have a rest. Well, in arena, you want to do something. You want people to buy beer. You want people to buy food, but you got to keep them entertained. So one of the things that they do is they have these races. They have dog races on ice. And recent one, they had wiener dogs on ice, which is, again, adorably funny and just a great time if you're in a
look at them.
Yeah, I think your long-haired dashing's going to do better on the ice, I think, than your short-haired. How did it work out, Todd?
Well, the best news, Charlie, no collisions, no accidents.
Good news.
Just adorable. That was that's what it was. But to a sport like hockey that is so physical, right, and so tough and mean, that at least in the intermissions you can have some softness and people really just smiling a lot, which is what it was.
Todd, let me end the section by telling you a story adjacent to this, and you, Charlie. English football clubs have tended not to go in for halftime entertainment because English football crowds are so cruel. I can remember, though, at the end of the 70s or early 80s at Spurs, the halftime entertainment, Charlie, consisted of a display by the Metropolitan Police police dog team.
Oh, amazing.
A guy would come out, they'd do it with big Alsatians, German Shepherds. They would do a bit of jumping around, jumping over big fences, and that would get a round of applause. But then this guy put on a big cushion thing on his arm and pretended to be a bank robber. He shot blanks at the dog, who chased him around the stadium and then grabbed him around the arm and wrestled him to the ground.
Different times, Danny, different times.
It was frightening. It was really frightening. And anybody under the age of 10 in a football ground would have been traumatised and probably having therapy about it right now. That was considered good halftime entertainment. Todd, as always, it's a pleasure.
Thanks, Todd.
And
Go
next. To talk to you. And of course, next here on Kelly and Baker, we'll be doing clips of the week. It's a Cheltenham special to see you towards the big festival next week. And this show, which will be Paul and Andy and Charlie, will be live from the race course every day of the week, even the days when they're not actually doing any horse racing. You're listening to TalkSport. That's how we roll.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. The football club. It's unbelievable. The people in charge of this football club. One of the biggest clubs in the world. And an absolute mockery. We're a mockery of a football club that we've allowed this to happen.
Are you going down?
And the fans have had to accept it.
You're going down.
Jace, shut up. Don't ask me again. Seriously. Like, I'm trying to do a show here. I'm trying to have a say. And you're going to sit there and just try and mug me off for 2 hours. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it.
That's a question. No problem with me. It's not my fault you got beat tonight, is it? I wasn't playing centre off.
It's so bad.
There's no point up, Jay. Don't have a pop at me, mate. Right?
I'll have a pop at you if you're trying to mug me off.
No, I'm not mugging you off. I'm asking. It's a simple question. Are you going down? Are you?
I can't do 2 hours with you, Jace, if you're just going to be an idiot. I mean, how can I take you seriously? You've got an Ange mask on and a clown mask.
What about 3 hours?
I can't do 2 hours of calls with you. I can't do it. I can't do it. Just please.
It's not my fault. You're rubbish.
Please, like, for me, like, don't ask me that question again. All right? Just because.
What question?
All right, look. I want to hear from Spurs fans. It's obviously a shocking. I'm genuinely crestfallen. Genuinely crestfallen. It's the worst I've ever felt.
Do you think you're going down? No, it's a different question this time.
Well, how's it a different question?
I said, are you going down? Or do you think you're going down? Do you think you're going down?
Well, Spurs are now just 1 point clear of the drop zone with 9 to play, and their former defender, Ramon Vega, says it's a serious situation.
This is not about nice football anymore now. This is surviving now. And these players really have to put the mentality into it. Guys, this is not about anymore if you're good or bad anymore. This is about you getting these 3 points.
Now, how does the atmosphere at Premier League grounds compare to those of the Championship? Well, Sunderland's Luke O'Nien says it's actually been disappointing this season. But he's also told us the Black Cats' travelling fans have been immense and praised a fellow newly promoted side.
When you go to a place like Leeds, the game, it's special, and our fans have been like that since League One. We had 35,000 fans in League One, and we're a sellout in the Premier League.
Speaking of Leeds, Daniel Farke has been handed a one-match touchline ban. He ran onto the pitch to speak to the ref following their loss to City. In F1, Aston Martin's team principal Adrian Newey says they might not make the grid for the season opener in Melbourne this weekend. They've got battery problems, among many others. And Steve Harmison says with a heavy heart, it's time for Brendan McCullum to leave the England setup. Baz wants to stay on despite a poor showing in the Ashes and a narrow defeat in the T20 World Cup semi-finals.
Clips of the week on TalkSport with Toolstation. Our friendly colleagues are right behind you at over 580 stations. Next stop, Toolstation.
TalkSport Clips of the Week.
Sorry, everyone, I'm already laughing. I haven't even heard some of these clips. Just reading the descriptors of them is making me laugh. Yeah, it's time now for Clips of the Week, thanks to Toolstation. And it is, of course, as we head towards the Premier Race meeting of the jumping season, one of the highlights of the sporting calendar in Britain and Ireland, the Cheltenham Festival. And there's only one one way to kick off the Cheltenham special, and that's with the King of Cheltenham, Willie Mullins. Oh, no, the King of Cheltenham, Alan Brazil, proving why it's important the producer is always in control.
Steve, I'm probably going to get pelters for this. And don't panic, Ben, the producer. But they've only...
If your horse doesn't finish for any reason at all.
What was said, we'll never know.
That could happen to any seasoned radio veteran.
Oh, that's funny. Now to a man who's always down at Cheltenham. It's Ray Party Parlour.
Another ex-footballer at the races. There's a shock.
I love racing. Cheltenham always comes around this time of year. Always try and get a...
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, always a time this time.
It has a place in the calendar. And here's Cheltenham stalwart, our own great friend Rupert Bell, with a special wardrobe choice for Gold Cup Day.
The main crisis is for Lizzie to find an iron in the establishment that we're staying in. We seem to be an iron-free zone. So I may be accompanying Lizzie in a crumpled dress.
He'll look lovely.
Look, oh, no, I like his tweed jacket. But
whatever Rupert wants to wear, it's up to him. It's 2026, for goodness sake.
Absolutely.
Danny. It's up to him. Now, to his partner in crime, former jockey Lizzie Kelly, with a well-known saying.
Well, Angel Blue didn't settle early on, but Frankie got a good tune out of this horse.
When it's not fixed, don't try and break it, or whatever the phrase is.
So, crumpled dress, half a glass of bolly, and that's what you get, isn't it?
She's from Devon, Danny, so I understand it. It's absolutely fine.
Okay, you wouldn't be so generous if she was from Somerset or beyond,
absolutely
would you?
Not. No way.
No
way.
All right, let's stick with Lizzie then, bless her. This time reviewing the food at the racecourse.
Looks really good. So I'll let you taste that one. Do you like tomato soup?
Oh, it's very tomatoey.
Yeah. Well,
very tomatoey.
Slow roasted tomatoes.
Oh, yeah, that's what you normally have.
Yeah, but also, we all paid a massive stipend to appear here on TalkSport. We all go around in gold-plated limousines.
Of course we do, yeah.
So the best we can do is, do you like tomato soup?
That's it at the races. Now, let's head to Barry the bookie with a hot tip.
I fancy Shattered Love, but that might be more to do with my love life than anything else. But she's a big, huge, massive mare.
Oh, there we go. Well done, Barry.
That is no way to describe the distaff side.
Barry knew what he was doing.
He did. The comedy genius. Back to Rupert now, trying desperately to say the right thing, but often as he does, getting in a bit of a pickle.
They call them racing plates. Does that mean you're permanently hunched with a bad back, banging on a horse?
Well,
no wonder your back is struggling.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Country ways, Danny. Now, here's talk sport legend Adrian Durham, the best in the business, getting in the Cheltenham spirit.
I've just invested some of my hard-earned on a horse called King Fontaine at 66 to 1.
Gotta put that
right?
He did. It's very like a nay, wasn't it? Very
he
good.
did, absolutely.
66 to 1.
Surprised he didn't start pawing the ground there. Now, this is a surprise one. This is a surprise appearance from Everton and England winner Jack Grealish. Big Al was making sure he covered all the relevant topics.
And then obviously, the talent in the team, speaks for itself.
I enjoyed Cheltenham again this year, Jack.
Oh, right, I'm just asking, bringing up Cheltenham. Yeah, there we are. Didn't quite get that one. Didn't really understand that one. Anyway, moving on. Sports Bar's Jamie O'Hara now, who's clearly clued up on the festival.
Right, the Cheltenham Festival gets underway tomorrow.
Yeah,
Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure, yeah. That.
Now, back to Big Al now, discussing racing with the lover of the sport, the former Spurs manager, Harry Redknapp.
What are you doing this weekend? Are you watching or are you racing?
No, just watching a bit of racing.
Oh, both. Doing both. Very nice indeed. Big Al again, surprised at this piece of news from Cheltenham.
Mr. Dembele faced a 10-game ban for a Costa eye gouge or potential, and Cheltenham to crack down on drunks. Wow.
And there we are. Well, be no one there. Be empty for the week.
No, but the personal feeling in that wow was something else, wasn't it? And now here's Rupert Bell again, discussing a truly great story about a legendary Cheltenham winner.
I am a huge Paisley Park fan. I think it is a lovely story. This horse nearly died.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lovely story that, it nearly died, yeah.
This time, Rupert gets himself into a bit of trouble after a big night with Al in Cheltenham Town.
I did the important thing, as I had a big night. And it's very important to
Oh, hello. I'm just being run over by a truck.
Oh, that's someone who he's given a tip to, I expect.
All right, let's finish with a Cheltenham carry-on featuring Sports Bar's finest, O'Hara and Cundy.
Tenner each way, pays for tonight, Jay.
Lovely,
pays
jubbly.
for tonight, mate.
You heard that was come from Lizzie Kelly. And to be fair to Lizzie Kelly, she gave me one at Cheltenham.
Oh, come on. We're better than that.
Yeah,
we can do better than that,
Keep
everybody.
it above the waist. Keep it above.
You can tell Paul and Andy aren't here with that lot.
Yeah, there's a very, 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 very poor quality control there. But thank you very much indeed, particularly Rupert Bell, who was savage there, I thought.
All over it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was all over it. That's right. And thank you very much, everybody, though. That was Clips of the Week, all thanks to Tool Station.
Clips of the Week on TalkSport with Tool Station. Our friendly colleagues are right behind you at over 580 stations. Next stop, Tool Station.
I've got lots of Tottenham mates, and
mate,
they're devastated. They can't watch. They said I couldn't watch it last night. I'm not going to watch it. I can't watch it.
Seriously?
Yeah, they're getting to a stage where they're so nervous about going down, which I thought about 3 weeks ago. Oh, they'd be fine.
So did I, mate.
Now, with what I've seen from Forest, what I've seen from West Ham, they're banging it.
Right, I'm the same as you, mate, and I bet you're the same.
Leeds will be looking. Leeds have got to be
looking over their shoulder as well.
Leeds have got.
When it's on.
We said, they've got Wolves at home now, but Wolves,
they've picked up.
They're flying.
I was they played well against Liverpool.
Unbelievable. And they could play them tonight. You're doing the game tonight.
FA Cup, I'm out for the FA Cup, mate. Well, if like fans of most other clubs, you enjoy what's happening at Spurs right now, and you tune into the sports bar, then last night, by all accounts, was unmissable. I did hear a little bit of it, by the way. Jason was officially playing Keep Me Up with Jamie.
It's a simple question. Are you going down?
Yes.
We are the only team in the Premier League ever to bring in a new manager, to get a new manager bounce, and we get a worse bounce.
Okay, you get a new manager trounce, not bounce.
Like, I'm trying to do a show here, I'm trying to have a say, and you're going to sit there and just try and mug me off for 2 hours. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it.
To dare is to poo.
I'd actually take Big Ange. It's got to that point. I would actually take Big Ange. I could do a better job. It is embarrassment. An embarrassment.
You're going down. No, seriously, last time. You're going down.
Shut up! Don't ask me again.
Realistically, Ali, realistically, it could be Tottenham Lincoln next year.
Don't ever turn your back on the FA Cup.
Wrexham progressed to the 5th round of the FA Cup. Phil Parkinson, he's having an impressive season on 2 fronts. Wrexham 1, Ipswich 0.
Delap shooting it back for Neto, through the goalkeeper for 4.
Third square, Tonali with another drive. Oh, what a goal! Sandro Tonali took that brilliantly.
In towards Delap shooting it back for Neto, through the goalkeeper for 4.
Doesn't matter who you are, if you reach an FA Cup quarter-final, you start thinking about Wembley.
Well, there goes the full-time whistle, and that is a titanic performance from Mansfield. Only 1, Mansfield 2.
Coming forward towards the edge of the penalty area, still 3, Somerville! 1-0 West Ham.
Szoboszlai in on goal, hits it. Oh, what a goal! What a strike from Dominic Szoboszlai!
This is the FA Cup at its very, very best.
Yeah, and TalkSport, you don't need me to tell you, is the best place for the FA Cup this weekend. Tomorrow begins with exclusive national radio commentary of Mansfield against Arsenal at 12:15. Then Wrexham against Chelsea at 5:45 before Newcastle take on Manchester City at 8. TalkSport is the only place for all the live FA Cup football tomorrow, so make sure to listen on the TalkSport app or ask your smart speaker to play TalkSport. While that advert was going on, those of you watching in Vision, and I was watching a little film our colleagues had made, Charlie, did you notice Timmy Mallet holding up the FA Cup there?
Did he?
Very odd
he turned
shot.
up, did he? I wonder if that was for I think he's a Maidenhead fan, I'm going to say.
I know he's mad about non-league football for sure,
yeah.
Absolutely. But he seemed to have the FA Cup in his hand there, the Mallet.
Well,
good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, right. And joining us now to look ahead to Wolves against Liverpool tonight in the FA Cup, another game, of course, that's live here on TalkSport. Delighted to say former Liverpool striker Neil Mellor joins us. Hi, Neil.
Hello, Neil.
Danny, good afternoon. Charlie, good afternoon to you both.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. When this draw was made, it looked, with all due respect to everybody involved, like quite a handy draw to see Liverpool maybe through to the quarter-final of the FA Cup. Lots of water under the bridge since then.
Yeah, not them again after Tuesday.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've seen how poor Wolves have been in the Premier League this season, but recently they are showing some kind of fight. They've got renewed belief and confidence on the back of some decent results. The draw against Arsenal, the win against Villa, and then the one on Tuesday against Liverpool. So now, when the draw was made, it does look very different to how it's going to be tonight, because they've got a bit of confidence. The fans are certainly with the players. And it's up to Liverpool to respond, because Tuesday wasn't a good night. It wasn't a good performance, and there has to be a reaction tonight from that.
I mean, Liverpool are still, can qualify for the Champions League. They're still in the FA Cup. They take on a Galatasaray team who are very good, but also beatable in the Champions League. Overall, Neil, here we are in the first week of March. How would you assess Liverpool's season so far?
If I'm being honest, I haven't enjoyed looking at the Premier League table from sort of October, November onwards.
Yeah.
The mood and feeling is very different to last season. Last season was brilliant. Liverpool won the Premier League. It was great, and the mood was great. This year, there is a lot more frustrations about various things, the performances, the results, the position Liverpool find themselves in. But with 9 games to go, and yes, Liverpool want to be looking at the top end of the table, 3rd place is still achievable, only 3 points off that. The Champions League is a special tournament. Liverpool have great history in it in the past, and yes, it's a tough route to get to the final and win it, but Liverpool can. They've shown they can beat some big teams in Europe already this season. And the FA Cup as well. It's a special tournament in this country, great tradition, history, and Liverpool will certainly want to go and win that. So with games to play this year, there's still a lot left to sort of achieve. But yeah, it's certainly been a very frustrating one from a Liverpool point of view.
Now, they let 8 players go. They've replaced them to varying success. But one player that has done well is Szoboszlai. He's been a bright spark this season, I think. Anything that's good that's come out of Liverpool is through him. He's also played 3 or 4 different positions, hasn't he? Including right back at one point, I think. I've played a few games at right back. He's been great, hasn't he, Neil?
He has, yeah, absolutely. He's probably been the most consistent performer for Liverpool this season. I think when you're looking at Liverpool's squad this season, you mentioned it there, there's been a lot of change in the summer. Obviously, the tragedy as well of Diogo passing away. But when you looked at the bench on Tuesday night, lads, and you looked at the bench last season, there wasn't quite as much strength as what Liverpool had last season. I'm looking at the bench. There was Gomez, Ramsey, Andy Robertson, Curtis, Nioni, Rio, Chiesa, Kieran Morrison. Last year, there was Jota, Nunes, Harvey Elliott, Curtis, Endo, Kwanzaa. So there's a little bit more strength last season compared to what Liverpool have at the moment. I think Wirtz is a big miss at the moment, and hopefully we might see him at some point tonight, but certainly for Galatasaray, I think he'll be a big player between now and the end of the season. And as and when Isak returns, Liverpool have really missed Isak. Yeah. And so when he returns, that will be a big boost as well.
Arne Slot, he's got a lot on his plate, particularly with Liverpool's slightly stuttery league form. I wasn't sure he was best advised, Neil. When I know he gets asked the question, and he's for a start he's Dutch, so they're going to answer you a direct answer to a direct question. But when he was asked if he was enjoying the kind of football we're seeing in the Premier League this year, very physical, a bit of gamesmanship, lots and lots of goals from set pieces, he said that he wasn't enjoying it. I wonder whether he'd been better advised just to say everybody plays the way we want to play. This is how we're going to play.
Yeah, and that'll be the case between now and the end of the season. Liverpool want to implement their own style. The Premier League has been at times a tough watch, but that's the way it is. Liverpool have themselves won games through set pieces. Set pieces will always be a big part of the game. Of course it will be. But yeah, I mean, he's probably a little bit frustrated with how Liverpool have played this season himself. It's not been as enjoyable to watch as it was last season. But like I say, there's still a long way to go in terms of what Liverpool can achieve. Third place is, unfortunately, the realistic ambition for Liverpool, because we want to be competing for the title. And there's still 2 big trophies to win this season for Liverpool.
Yeah, Wolves tonight. And obviously Rob Edwards has turned it around for them. He's done a great job. He seems to have been really able to get his message across to a smaller group of players. Neil, do you think the size of the squad has anything to do with the fact that he's been managed to do that?
I like Rob Edwards. I played against Rob back in the day. Always a nice fella, and I'm pleased to see that he's doing well. He has done well previously in his managerial roles. I saw him in pre-season when he was there for Middlesbrough, and he was saying what a season he was looking forward to. He's left that role to take on Wolves. Wolves means a lot to him, and we understand that. It took a while to get a reaction. Obviously, selling the striker, the main man as well, Strand Larsen, was a big blow. The recruitment has shown that they're preparing for the Championship. They've got some good players there, and what I would say is the connection you could see in that game late on. The fans are still supporting the team despite the position they find themselves in, and they'll make a difference tonight. They'll make it difficult for Liverpool. They really will, and for them a cup run could sort of give them that bit of belief to maybe get a few more results.
Do you think, it's a ridiculous thing to say given the result a few days ago, because it's impossible to tell, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you think Liverpool will perhaps have just too much for them tonight?
Come on, Danny. Of course I'm going to be biased.
Yeah, of course.
Neil Mellor, Danny.
Lads, do you know what I would say?
It's Neil Mellor, the Liverpool fella, yeah.
Of course, Liverpool have actually responded well to some disappointing performances. And there was one the other week against Forest. It was a poor performance, good result. Much better performance against West Ham, got the result. Liverpool haven't lost back-to-back games since sort of November time. So Liverpool have won 4 of the last 5 games. As much as that was a poor game and result on Tuesday against Wolves, Liverpool are strong favourites for this one. And there will be a reaction tonight, no doubt about that one. It'll be a strong lineup. There'll be a great away following. I'm sure the home fans will get behind them. I just hope we see maybe the last 15 minutes of what we saw on Tuesday, more of the game, because the first half wasn't for 60 minutes. So, I'm backing Liverpool to win tonight, through to the quarters, I hope.
Brilliant.
There
Neil.
you go. They say football's unpredictable, but Neil was going to back Liverpool
all day long.
Charlie, I think you're going to be at Cheltenham next week with the boys, yes?
I will be at Cheltenham all week, Tuesday to Friday. I'll be rounding about doing colour all over the course, as Paul calls it.
Flock.
And that's
flock.
The main colour is green, Danny. You see a lot of green, green clothes, green ground.
You see
green
Charlie flock to him, so that
everyone's spending their green.
Available.
That's how it works.
H&J will be back next week from Monday, and then all through the horse racing on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at Cheltenham. It should be a brilliant way to spend the middle of your afternoon here on TalkSport. Thank you for listening to me and Charlie for the last 3 days. I've
enjoyed it, Danny. Thank you.
Thank you as well, my friend. Coming up next is Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. It just remains for me, as always, to say God bless you all and goodbye.
David, good morning, mate. First
Good
of all,
morning,
how are
David.
you?
Morning, all.
David, here's a quick one for you, mate. I know we'll not be talking European football. We'll calm everything down. I want to start with this statistic, right, which I would imagine would please you as much as anything. Everton, after reaching the 40-point mark in 28 games,